And
I
we
saw him
are
on Discord a
he's
few
like,
minutes ago. Toot, toot, toot.
oh, HellrangeR is here. What the fuck?
Pull
Hi
him in.
chat, by the way. Yeah, what's up? What's up, chat? We're just waiting for a couple guys to join. We'll start in a second. Awesome. Yeah, HellrangeR is here. But I can't believe Rexdreams is late.
Mhm.
Let me just call Rexdreams. This is not what I was expecting. Hi, chat. Tell the truth. Who is taking too long to do their makeup? Me, of course. Do you see my beautiful face? It takes time to get it ready, you know? What's up, guys? Hi, hi, hi. Thank you for waiting. Hi, HellrangeR. You're muted.
You're muted, Hell.
Wow. Can you guys see me?
Yes, good for
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
How are
I'm good.
you,
I'm good.
Hell?
How are you guys? I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Sami?
Very nice. Yes.
We have our last member here to drag him.
Wow. Malo is e- even more late than I am.
Yeah. He's also muted and deafened.
I mean, now we know who the big bully is then.
Fart, leaks, come on. Okay, okay. So before we get to the interesting discussion, chat wants leaks, so I'll leave it to you pro players out here to give them leaks because I don't have any.
What
Uh,
leaks?
team leaks or any leaks in general is right coming with a tournament is I don't know, lightning fast gonna be poached, is TM breaking up any big masala leaks.
See, if TM
Uh,
was breaking up, you're the right person to ask that question.
Fuck, I dug my own grave there. Shit.
Is that happening?
No, I mean, I don't know, and no, not to my knowledge. Uh, I got a few leaks here myself. I just need to
he's
clear
laughing,
them.
so it's of course gonna happen.
What the? Oh my god. No, no, no. See, guys, chat. Remember, last time we got the leaks, it was because of you guys. So you guys have to give the leaks. Now, if Malav turns on his Discord, I'm so confused.
I think Malo is just doing his makeup, getting his hair right.
Oh yeah, yeah. Razia asked who is doing makeup a lot. Probably Malav. Alright. So,
So
anyways,
how is
guys, I
it?
thought
Oh, we have.
SSSami. Ooh.
Hmm?
I don't think that
Right?
return is happening, but that would be
Nah, nah.
interesting.
Are you saying something here? I can't hear you.
No,
Are
no,
you
sorry. I
muted?
was muttering to myself, and
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
acha.
was. I was. Hey, are you speaking to me? I
Yeah,
can't.
Wait a minute. I just need to change nicknames. Okay, perfect. There we go. We got the order. Now, as long as Malav gets his camera on, we should be Gucci.
Hmm, wait.
Alright, so just to let chat know, and you guys, of course, we're basically here to discuss the tier list of agents in the meta in general. We'll go map by map, and we'll establish like the best. So we have like S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and then we discuss and pick one agent for each tier. Whoever doesn't make it to the list, sad life, I guess. But like the idea is to
It's
have
gonna be
like a
Brimstone and Yoru. They're gonna be the lowest for sure.
No
yeah.
way.
I don't think
I
anyone
love
wants to.
Yoru.
Yoru, like the only time we actually saw him was on the team that recently played Vision Strikers, and like
WGS,
once,
right?
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
once these guys pulled him out, NRG pulled him out on Shanks on one bind map, and after that, like I don't think any other team has played Yoru.
True.
Yeah, I only saw him on one map too, so it was a bit
Yeah,
weird.
I think I saw him on Haven, like the Vision Strikers match that I was talking about earlier on that map, and then.
Okay, Malo, you're
Hmm.
Hellranger. I didn't know.
Oh shit. No, my overlay got messed up for
Uh,
some reason. It's not transparent, so we're just gonna go with it. There we go.
it's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna give you guys the content you came here for, which is the discussion, not the overlays. But there are some cool overlays. But yeah, like it's really cool that Yoru and all is even at least one match he got played because before that it wasn't even anything. but actually like perfectly comes into why I wanted to do this in the first place, because I think HellrangeR, you'll be a perfect testament to this. Like what goes on abroad doesn't necessarily go on in India, right?
For sure, because see, the play style is completely different
Yeah.
from abroad to here, and even there, like team to team, right? Some teams they'll give you the
Yeah.
respect, they'll play some proper Valorant, like the way things are supposed to be in theory, right? Like this is
Correct.
gonna happen and this is gonna happen, and some people they just don't care. Oh, you'll think, okay, if I do my Phoenix Mall, he's gonna wait. Oh no, he's not gonna wait. He's gonna take
Yeah.
that 100 damage and he's gonna run through and kill you, and you're gonna be pissed at him. That is majority
Mm.
of what happens in especially the Indian and the Asian scene most of the time. I mean, not all the teams play like that, but there are some teams whom I don't want to name, but they do those stuff.
Most teams.
Yeah, like a lot of teams. Like Sami, you have experience against that. I mean, not to like no offense, but I feel like you were one of those players too. Like in the very first start when you got in, like zero respect. I'm gonna walk in and I'm going to kill you. That's
Yeah.
what I remember. So like,
It's it's funny.
yeah, it's different play styles. Because when I notice VCT Japan too, it's
Yeah.
exactly like you speak. Like zero respect. It's literally just we will take you on your aim, and if you can't do
Yeah.
it, you fucked up. But
But
like
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
was even how Immortals played for a while. Like shot up and stuff. Like they put him on the arena and they were loving to
yeah,
frag him out and
Yeah,
stuff.
well, but that is the thing. That it's like I don't have problem with playing fast or no respect, but there has to be some sort of a strategy or
Yeah.
a team support behind it, right?
Hmm.
So if you
Mm.
just go YOLO, you're not gonna win out on everything.
Hmm.
Like that's never gonna.
mm,
Yeah, like you might surprise the first few opponents, but eventually people are gonna know that you're gonna do this itself, and they'll keep maybe two or three ops. Who knows, right? And
yeah,
they'll just post them at angles where you're gonna rush in, and it becomes like I don't know that there was one team which was doing this to us in maybe CS when we were playing. So we just started to put double, even triple ops in different places and just hold angles. And they still did the same thing and they lost to us like 6 or 7 events in a row. They were still doing the same thing. And I found it really funny that, like, okay, you tried your aggressive gameplay, it worked out for you because you surprised us a few times. But after that, people will know that you're a one trick pony basically. So that
yeah.
that won't ever work out.
Like I think in general, that's something that will be at the limelight of the entire year this year, because in like the last 6 months at least, people shifting from CS:GO to Valorant. People, I feel like we're still settling down a little bit, trying to understand the new game, the differences in the old game, trying to figure out their own
It,
strategies.
it's
But
an
now
excuse.
everyone's fit in, right?
Yeah, but it's an excuse. I'll be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
if
Which
if
is I
if you
can't
are
make it
if you
anymore.
are yeah if you are a professional player and it takes you more than a year to learn one game, then
Yeah.
maybe you're probably not meant for it, right? So it's to me
Whoa,
that's
whoa,
an
whoa.
excuse that you say that
Calm down,
yeah,
bro.
like no, I mean to me it's an excuse if you say that for a year you're trying. No, you can learn new agents, you can learn new strategies. That is something I'm willing to agree to. But you say that you're learning the game for a
Mm.
year and you have been playing CS for like the better part of 5 to 10 years, then I don't think you can say that you're learning this game or whatnot. It's just bullshit excuses and you're not working hard enough.
Yeah,
I do
but I
agree to some
like
extent. Yeah.
Savi, you go. I'm actually gonna ask you because I remember a point where Savi could not play with Reina or not. Like straight up.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because,
No, no,
you could.
learning different heroes is different. I'm not saying
Yeah,
about that. I'm
exactly.
just saying about learning the game, like how you're supposed to play with the game. Even if you have a two-player agent pool, let's say, because generally duelists tend to have that because they are special in those, roles particularly. So
Mm.
even if you have that two agent pool, you still need to know how to play the game in general. Oh, he has this ult. You have to expect certain things. You have to expect certain calls. That is what I'm talking about. You cannot play it
Yeah,
just like CS where everyone has the same util. There's only going to be a
yeah.
nade or a flash or a smoke. You need to know, okay, he has this ult. I cannot position myself there. The simplest example being, oh, there's a brimstone ult. We can't play you alls. It took some players months even
Yeah.
to understand that. Right. So that is something I'm saying, right? So you need to know all of that while you're playing Valorant. You need to know the ults, you need to know the abilities and position
Just
yourself
shots
accordingly.
fired.
No, it's the truth. It's not. I'm
No,
not. I'm not targeting
it's an
anyone.
FPS, so. No, I get what you mean. I'm just joking, and it's really
See,
cool.
you called me for the no bullshit thing, right? So
Yes,
I
yes.
respect
Yeah, man, that's very true. Well, but like that's what I meant. Like even with Sami, I guess I wasn't really trying to say that he did not play, but like the idea that the difference, I guess, in players like Sami, you picked up Reina pretty fast, but like there are other
Yeah.
players who still like very and again not gonna name names, but very adamant on playing just one agent, irrespective of the map, irrespective of the thing, and I guess that's the real like platform of this entire discussion. But like we will get to the actual map wise discussion in a second. I'll just close off this with asking like I'll ask you, Sabi, what was it like, being the jet OTP and then shifting, like having to shift because of course in a professional environment, as HellrangeR said, you have to keep up.
But it wasn't that hard actually, because I used to watch Tens a lot. Like I like Tens a lot, and he plays Jet and Reina. So I
Yeah.
most of the time I watch his highlights. I understand how he plays as a Reina or other agents. So like it wasn't difficult to switch to Reina for professional Valorant actually.
Uh-huh. All right. See, exactly. I
So
think that's the like motto of what you're trying to say, right, HellrangeR? Like, just don't make excuses. As long as you're trying, it's fair enough.
Yeah,
So,
well, as long as you try hard enough, it's fine.
yeah, exactly. So, hey, a shout out to everybody out there who isn't trying hard enough. Either
I
you
love
gotta either
No,
the
make it
like
or
it's
break it.
nothing. See, it's nothing to be. We have had this discussion in our own team itself. I'll say that. Like we have had this discussion where okay, you guys or I, like anyone, if we feel that no one, that person is not trying hard enough, we are like you're not trying hard enough.
Uh-huh.
This was supposed to be done. Let's say, let's XY. Let's say I tell this player to learn this agent for a particular combination, and he does not learn this. I was like, you're not trying hard enough. I told you to do this like 2 weeks back, and you should have been grinding that till then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the thing. I'm not saying we are not a victim of that. We do that ourselves
Yeah,
sometimes, but we cannot make an excuse where we say that, oh, we don't know how to play, or we cannot learn the game. That's the difference.
I think one of the most things I respect in GE is like how open like they've been with each other. Like I think so many times like previously when we had with we had me, CA, HellrangeR and Mamba. Uh, I think Bhavin told us that how like he told his team that they expected to lose for like 2 to 3 months constantly because they
yeah.
just hadn't played for that long. So and there's like those certain things of like being open with each other and having that level of like trust and like open communication. I think it goes a long way in a team. Like even if you watch the streams and HellrangeR just playing with skills and stuff. We've seen how things go down there between the both of them. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it's really cool. Like,
yeah,
honestly, while casting itself, I've said it, like quote unquote, like HellrangeR says, trust the process. So you just gotta
yeah.
trust the process here. As you said, it's just a culmination of everything. But talking about like culminating, I think we'll get to why people are here, which is first to ask HellrangeR, did you wear this T-shirt for this specific stream? Chat really wants to know.
Okay, so it's say less, do more. The do more
Yeah.
part is not visible.
No, I think people noticed. That's why they're like, did you wear
Yeah,
this for this specific
Vedant.
stream?
Yeah, Vedant
Well,
mentioned it in chat. Like the first thing he said is a Rangers t-shirt, especially for the stream,
well,
and a lot of other people.
I'm building a
It's pretty good.
unnecessary superstition because I've wore these t-shirts in the four finals we won.
Uh-huh.
So every Sunday event or match, I think I'm gonna wear this T-shirt from now on. I'm building this unnecessary superstition for me.
Nice,
But no, I
nice.
just wore it in the morning. There was no particular reason for today. That's it.
Superstitions are very important for every pro gamer, in my opinion. I make it a point in all my interviews to ask, are there any rituals, superstitions you guys have? And
Well,
almost everybody has it.
I lost the finals and not even the final, upper bracket final and the lower bracket final when I was not wearing this T-shirt. I was like, I'll wear it on the finals. I was confident that we might make it, but
Alright.
we never got there. So
When we get to Lions HellrangeR, we're gonna be see HellrangeR really, really sweating, but he's not gonna be sweating because of the match. He's gonna be wearing two t-shirts, like the jersey and this. So because of that, it's funny, man. Thank you, chat, for noticing. I did not. But yeah. So in general, with back to the tier list, right? So I just want to tell you guys, Give me your opinion. Your opinion can be that what's internationally good is good here. Your opinion can be fuck internationally. What I think is good is good. Whatever you like, that's just pretty much it. And I thought we'll start off with something simple where I think this map is going to be the easiest. So we'll start with Haven here because I think almost everyone will agree on what is strong on Haven. But it's gonna get spicy as we get to like split
Yeah.
and divide and icebox and stuff like that.
This is probably
But
the most interesting time meta wise, right? Like literally
yeah,
everything is coming together. Like Viper buffs, people want to try out the Viper. People are starting to realize how good Sky is. Astra coming in, people realize how good Astra is on certain
yeah,
maps. Ray's getting a lot of love recently. Yoru buffs, we haven't seen much of Yoru though. Like the only two agents who are kind of out of the meta and not really played much are Brimstone. I think Brimstone's like a 0% pick rate. I'm pretty sure in all of
Mhm.
India. I don't think
yeah,
on Bind, except once or twice, we've seen
yeah.
the Brimstone. Like we used to see it earlier, but it's not much now. In NA and stuff, like everyone's just Omen, Omen, Omen. There's no more Brimstone. Yoru, we never saw it because it's so loud and stuff. Like people
Mm-hmm.
really, really never liked him. So those are the only two agents who we've never much seen in competitive play. And now, like Sage is getting a lot of love. Like Ethan's been running Sage on 100 Thieves on all maps.
Yeah.
All of you love Sage. They love running Sage on each and every map. Like, there's not one map where we don't see the Sage coming out from them. EU side running Astra. We saw a little bit of it coming out from
A lot.
Heretics and stuff. And yeah, so it's a really interesting meta wise timeline we're in.
Yeah, like it is exactly right because it feels like the game is starting to settle down and now
Yeah.
there's multiple options. So it's we'll see because I think even on Haven there are a couple of really spicy topics. If I want to start asking Sabi, okay, so is Jet S tier or not, Sabi? Straight up.
It's just
We'll
what?
start with Duelist. We'll start
S
with
tier.
Duelist and we'll come to the best Jet, I think, among all of us right now. So, do you think Jet is an S tier Duelist or is it Phoenix, Yoru, Reina, for Haven specifically?
Haven, right? I think on Haven, Jet is not S tier. No way.
Okay.
I think Raze is more S tier compared to Jet because in Jet you have to kill for your team to make an impact. But in
Yeah.
Raze, if you use Raze on Haven, you can use your boombot, you can use your nade. If you like you're having a bad form, right? You can
Yeah.
use your boombot for information. You can use your nade. You might get a free kill if you combine it with a Sage slower. Like on
Mm-hmm.
A long
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
or yes, and the in the raises alt with the satchel is I think honestly more effective compared to Jets because the Jet dash is good against ciphers only cipher tripwires, right?
Yeah.
And these days I see people teams playing more killjoy compared to ciphers. So the raise
Yeah.
makes more sense compared to a Jet. That's why I think Jet is not S tier, raise is more lenient to S tier. I think it's not fully S tier, but like above A tier, below S tier. you know
Okay. I mean, yeah, we have S, A, B, and C, so I assume Jet will make it in the list for sure. But it's really
yeah.
interesting to hear you say not S tier because I'll
Yeah.
ask HellrangeR directly. Like, obviously, the Jet OP biggest thing is because of the OP, like the op, right?
Yeah,
So, HellrangeR, as like as someone in a team with some like a player like SK Rossi, who literally entry frag ops, I cannot get my mind around it yet. But what do you think? Like in terms of duelists, what is S tier on Haven?
See, I'd be very honest. Like it completely depends on the combination you're playing, but it has to be either one of Jet or Raze. Like with
Okay.
Jet, you need a flasher in the team, be it a Phoenix, be it a Breach, be it a Sky. If I feel as long as you're running one flasher in the team, apart from Jet, I think Jet is an S tier duelist. It also depends on the players who play it, right? Like so, let's say SK Rossi or Antidote or Deathmaker or Excali, or Sai, or all the Sami, all the top players who have been playing, and even like I'm really impressed by even Ghost, and I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a few names, but
Yeah, there's a
sorry
lot.
for not remembering.
Ayan.
So
Yeah,
there's
Ayan, yeah, there's a
yeah.
lot of players, right? But
Yeah.
uh, like honestly, but it comes down to the players. All these players have. So the point I was going to was all these players have incredible aim, but it
Uh-huh.
does not mean that they're making the best use of the jet. I'm not saying who
Yeah.
is and who isn't, but at the end of the day, it will depend on the team composition. I think so. Like with
Yeah.
the breach, I think Jet is just too overpowered
Yeah.
on a map like Haven, right?
Yeah.
And like we were recently scrimming a team who was playing an Astra, a breach, and a Jet. I'm not gonna take any names, but they literally destroyed us with the amount of plays they had, right?
Okay.
And, having the breach in Jet has become an old meta. Everyone expects what to do. Having
Yeah.
the breach
Yeah.
Astra and the Jet where you can't run away from the flash is something which is very different and which we really liked when they did that against us. So like yeah, that's like it's really good. We got fucked in practice, like in
Yeah.
practice. So the next time someone plays against us in a match,
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
what to expect. But I think like the Jet Breach and Astra meta is gonna be something I feel is gonna come in uh, really soon on Haven. So I'd say Jet is an S tier agent.
I Malav will go to you next. I think we're expecting the most polarizing opinion here,
Yeah,
so let's just hear
and
it.
also I definitely agree with HellrangeR. Phoenix has always been a staple pick on the map. If you don't have the breach, I've kind of
Uh-huh.
started liking the Raze a lot more. Like a lot of teams have started loving the Raze like recently, so it's really interesting to see teams moving into that. And so it's just I've always preferred the lot more standard with the Phoenix and Jet combo. You run Omen over Cypher with that. That's been my like good comp for Haven. But I've also started liking a Sky and the Sova like together on Haven.
Uh-huh.
Like I think
Yeah.
we saw something that NIP coming out with recently worked out really, really well for them. Like they did it really well, and I was happy with it. Like they've been one of my favorite teams to watch out in EU, especially. So it's really interesting
Yeah.
to see how that works out. But then if you compare that to like what Ascend have been playing, like they dropped the Sage, they dropped the
Yeah.
Sova for the Sage completely. So it's a lot of polarizing things that are going on. But I'm not. I don't think a lot of huge agent comps changes are needed on Haven. I like a lot of Phoenix on Haven because it's the run it back is so good in terms of information and to create space for the team.
So wait, you would say that the Phoenix is the S tier agent on Haven?
Yeah, in terms of duelists, yeah, and I think Haven is the best map. Is one of the best maps for jet hoppers. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
so many angles you can go in for that aggressive shot on garage, A, C, updraft, go anywhere, and a lot of utilities required to be able to counter that. So I think Jet and Phoenix are my two picks for the map.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think the entire like diversity comes through because of, as like y'all said, the difference in what combos you're really bringing to the table, right? Like Sami mentioned, all those race combos, which I personally think are absolutely busted. We've seen, for example, 100 Thieves, like like when they first got Ethan, they used to run a lot of race instead of Jet because they weren't really sure who wanted to op, and that race worked absolutely brilliantly. I think that's where I settle back because I'm gonna look at this a bit more objectively. In my opinion, Jet Phoenix is just the best combo in general. Like maybe Yoru replaces Phoenix, but objectively, I think I really like Raze on Haven. Just the if you have a Raze Phoenix, for example, just the ability to hold down like Garage as well as Suez, it's just nasty. So in general, I think our votes end up being like Raze top, Jet like right next. Then Phoenix for the third spot. I think that's indisputable. Like you guys think there's like any chance of Yoru replacing Phoenix in that lineup?
I don't think so. But like,
Yeah.
see, the only map I feel is viable with Euro is maybe Ascent.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
Ascent, Ascent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I have theory crafted some stuff, not anything
Okay.
concrete.
All
But
right.
All right,
but
interesting.
I think if you can use Yoru, like if I was put at a gunpoint and forced to use Yoru in a map, I would choose Ascent.
Uh huh.
Right, that is a map I feel you can do something with Yoru and an Astra combo, and you can have some work there. But in a map like Haven, I don't think that's like Yoru is a viability in the
Uh
long
huh.
term. But also one point I would like to add is like we are talking about picking either a Raze or a Jet, and
Yeah.
we have this thing called a filler. So let's say your smoke agent dies or your smoke agent doesn't have any more
Yeah.
abilities, right? If you pick a Raze without a Cipher,
That's true.
you don't have any fillers in the team. You have to
Yeah.
depend entirely on your smoke agent, which is hard on a map like Haven because if a team is not playing a particular side, they're generally holding the extremities. So you want to make sure you block those extremities off, even if it's for a jet smoke of like 5 seconds or a cipher cage of 7-8 seconds. You want to block that angle off. So if you want to play Raze, I think you better make sure you play Cypher with the same comp because I think you need a filler agent in the same way.
Hey,
Mm.
that's really interesting because our
Yeah, that's
next group is just Sentinels, and I get the idea. of trying to get the combos through. And I think that's going to be our biggest challenge in making this, like, or even talking about this tier list. Because while, of course, I think it's way easier, like, talking about a lineup than particular agents. This is also sort of to, like, help our viewers. Like, maybe, hey, if I want to pick up a new duelist, I look towards what's the best so I can learn the meta duelist rather than learn, say, Yoru and get fucked in most of my competitive games. So in that idea, it's really cool. So like going on to like Sentinels, I think Reina automatically fills in the C tier for Haven for Duelist because there's nobody else left.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Reina is interesting. She's just like, if you can play her, you play her. You play her for. She's very obvious with what she is. She doesn't offer anything extra. Doesn't take away much either. So she's like the balanced agent, but of course recently nerfed. But hey, Sentinels. So we'll start back again. I'll throw this out in the open for any of you to pick up. Uh, Tell me what you think about Haven Sentinels. Like, why is Cypher better than Killjoy? Why is Killjoy better than Cypher? Who wins?
So if you start off on attack as a Cypher, first of all, watching flanks with Cypher is much easier
Yeah.
because there's no range, 40 meters, beam the radius, XYZ things to worry about. Secondly, on a map with huge sightlines, I love cages a lot more than turrets. Like a lot, cages a lot more than alarm bots. Sorry. On attack, the first thing you have to do is throw out that A crossing cage, cut off vision, and things like that. So that's
Uh-huh.
very important for me to do early down. You have the camera, which you can just throw in towards A shot and just block off any pushes towards A. So on Haven, I'm a huge fan of Cypher over the Killjoy,
Yeah.
and it allows you to stack sites like a lot easier, which you cannot necessarily do with the Killjoy because of the range related targeting. So yeah, for that map, I'm not a fan of the Killjoy. I'd prefer the Cypher any day.
I gotta agree with Rexy completely.
Yeah.
Like I have the same opinion. Just the range, right? The
Yeah, just the
annoying
Yeah.
range.
range. Yeah.
Yeah.
But FaZe used to run like Killjoy earlier on Zachary, but
Mm,
for Killjoy on Haven. But then they swapped it on and he's on Cypher
Uh,
duty now, I think. Right?
mm.
If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna throw a curveball the way of Sami here, because you mentioned that one of Jet's strengths is taking down the Cypher trappers, right? When we're
Yeah.
talking about duelists. So, since we prefer Raze over Jet, isn't that like a big reason of that is that we're seeing a lot of Killjoy? So, where do you think like that balance comes through? Like, do you think teams are gonna start going back to the Cypher now, or like, do you still think like it's a big debate?
Like a big debate actually. It's almost 50-50. Like some teams play Cypher, some teams play Killjoy.
Uh-huh.
But I think that Cypher is better on Haven.
All right. What would you have your team play? Cypher?
Yeah.
All right. So that's pretty much too heavy for Cypher. And considering what GE plays, I think this
No,
is
but
going to be a whitewash.
Yeah,
What do you
it's a
think,
whitewash for
HellrangeR?
no,
Cypher. Yeah.
I don't think it's a whitewash actually. I'll be very
Okay.
honest. See,
Okay.
on the attacking side, yes, any day I'd say a Cypher is much better because you don't have you're open with your flanks. You have a filler as I already mentioned, and you have the camera to get you information on various parts of the map.
Yeah.
But I also feel that with the Killjoy ult, you either cancel out the Sova ult for sure, or you almost get a free round in a sense if the opponent team doesn't
Yeah.
have a well versed retake. And even if they do that, but as long as you're prepared, I think you can still win the round. So that is something I look forward to. But like on the defensive side, right? I feel um, the person playing a Killjoy needs to be, let's just put it, much more smarter
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
someone playing a cipher. See, with a
Yeah.
Mm.
killjoy, you cannot play a particular quote unquote retake setup. You need to make use of your molotovs, of your alarm bot, of your turrets to take the fight. Right? You need to be the one who stays in the site and kills two, and you keep changing your setups and you keep changing your positions. So I think a killjoy can do that, and with the cipher, it gives you the luxury of just leaving angles with a trip and going your own way. But right now, the way things are working, most of the smarter SOAs they'll just put a shock dart at where your
Yeah.
trips are supposed to be. Right? Let's say the normal common positions are at garage or at the entrance of B, and if you're putting your trips there, most of the players or the SOAs already would put their shock darts, and then you're lost. Like you don't have information on that part of the map or the part where you were sure that, oh, it's free, right? Gets like gets a curveball, because that is something which has happened to us. We have
Yeah.
been very good on the T side because we are running a cipher comp, but on the CT side, it becomes a pain in the ass when the SOA is someone smart. So let's say you're playing Mahi and right to his knows all his shock darts on
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
cipher traps are gonna be most of the time. So he always shock darts sometime in the
B
middle of the round, sometimes in the
entrance.
early round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to make out when you can or cannot put the trip. So that is something which I feel a Killjoy has an advantage on the defensive side if played smartly. And the ult is, anyways, I would always say overpowered than a cipher. And one more thing you can do with the Killjoy turret is, peek off an opper. Not
Mhm.
pick, I mean peek off, like take his first shot off him,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So you can put your counter up there, or you can put a double rifle there, or you can put a trade off there. So that is
Yeah.
something you cannot technically do with the
Yeah.
Cypher Cam per se. So considering
Yeah.
all the pros and cons, I say it's a 50-50 thing. But I say if you have a really smart player, a Killjoy can do a lot of work. But if you have kind of a smart player, you can still play on with the Cypher.
Yeah, but then, like, since we're on the topic of the Killjoy, right? Like, with all the double chalk for Killjoy ults that Average Jonas has come up with and all the lineups that he really made
Yeah.
famous, that comes in as they just double chalk the ult. And I think if I find the clip, see, I'm looking for some, I'll show that to you. I think I discarded it to you, if I'm not wrong. It's this thing by this guy called Ghost Gaming, this guy called Nismo, right? So it's on Haven. The attackers pull down the retake Killjoy ult, and he goes on top of default satchels and throws a nade and breaks the Killjoy ult. So
Yeah,
and yes,
Oh.
so if Sami knows what I'm talking about, yeah.
yeah,
So for me, due to that reason, like I've started preferring the Killjoy a lot less because if the ult can be broken so simply with such less utility,
Yeah.
and it's just like a little bit hard. But there's ways to counter that. You switch up the position of the ult and stuff.
Yeah.
But then that could be in certain cases been a lot less of value.
Yeah, well, I agree, but the thing is, as I said, right, the Killjoy has to be a smart player. So if
Yeah,
he
yeah,
knows
Yeah.
that,
definitely. Yeah.
so I'll be very honest, none of the Indian players know how to do just what you said, right? Very few know the Sogda lineup. None of them bother to learn the nades. I've even seen Asuna break
With a satchel on
on
ascent on B
yeah with a
side. Yeah,
satchel.
Satchel,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what.
on
B
Yep,
B
yep,
side.
side.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
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 And I don't think I'm gonna say it here right now, but I don't think I'll see any Indian player doing it at least in the next 3 or 6 months maybe. Because
Oh,
people are too lazy to learn. I'll be very
Yeah,
honest.
but this is weird because like those lineups, like the like so much information available on the internet for such ease.
Uh-huh.
It's just yeah, like I don't see a reason for teams to not go in the extra mile.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
it
eh,
it, it has- it also has to do with what position you are at that
yeah.
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. It
But
requires you to be very, very
yeah,
in the position. Yeah,
yeah, but it's to me it's something that people should be learning. Like as soon as I see it, if I was a race player and I saw Asuna do that, the
yeah.
next thing I'd do is pause the
Yeah.
fucking match, go in a server, and just try to learn that. Like that is
Yeah.
who I am, basically. So I think everyone should be doing that. But like, yeah, I agree, Malo. As you said, the ult can
Yeah.
be broken, but again, as I said, if it's a smart killjoy player, he should have done his homework and know that the opponents
Mhm.
know those lineups and set his ult accordingly. There's just a small shift in
Yeah.
placing the ult.
I saw
That's
the
it.
TSM female roster. Yeah. Yeah, that's what the TSM female roster did. Like in the finals again, in one of the matches against the Cloud9 women's roster. I'm not good with C9W or C9B, so I'm not going to get into that. So I'm sorry for using female male out here, but that's what TSM did. Like they just changed the position where they were using the Killjoy just a little bit more to the left, and they had retake Molly set up in a different part so that they could cut off A shot a little bit easier, and then the retake still goes on the same way.
Yeah, it's really interesting too. I think the entire debate because, as HellrangeR said, it's really down to the player wielding the killjoy. Because I know that it's the very strong opinion that the cipher is just way better on attack, but I genuinely think it's because the cipher is way easier to execute on attack. Because like being a killjoy made myself, don't get me wrong, I'm not a pro player, but like there's just so many things you can do. Like the op peek off is one great example, but even other than that, like the way you look, especially on Haven, since we're talking about it, can be really oppressive to the other team because What the turret provides you, I think, in the Killjoy kit that the Cypher cannot provide is instantaneous contact. Like the Cypher has to check his camera, he has to leave himself vulnerable, and the trapwires themselves, like even if you break them, you don't know for sure if someone is pushing or not. Whereas the turret gives you the instant knowledge. They have to come through, break the turret, or the turret will just keep firing. If it doesn't fire, then again you know that they're not pushing through. There's just that
Mm-hmm.
extra bit of info, I think, that she provides. But yeah, the range is the biggest like reason I think that she becomes very hard to execute. But obviously her biggest issue, as you guys mentioned, is like now people getting used to her. The ults, like the lineups are there, and even if not the lineups, because I don't think like Asuna or like any of the like international pro players that we're witnessing, I don't think they had lineups. I think in the game itself they were able to spontaneously adapt and get what they needed through. And I think that's what really misses in the smaller regions, because they have resources. They play all day. They get resources pumped into them by their support staff. Like watch this clip, do that, and I think those resources Indian players themselves have to make up for. So that's where like a big difference comes through. Um, Keeping it wide or better, I think it's just safer for a cipher. But we will. I think we can end this discussion by saying that we hope that sooner rather than later that like we can like go towards the idea that hey, maybe a killjoy is just better, because like at least from my experience talking to all of these international players, right? For example, during the Astra early access event, I got a chance to talk to I forgot his name. It starts with P. He's a cipher one trick who plays only cipher on every
Peak,
map.
peak.
Yeah, Peak. Yeah, him. So he genuinely believes that he's a Cypher one trick chat for reference, but he
Yeah.
genuinely believes that Killjoy is better than Cypher on every single map if you play her properly. So that's where it's like a bit like the debate starts to become a bit like, hey, is this just Cypher versus Killjoy, or is it more like proper execution and smart players? But hey, irrespective, I think for now, at least in the pro scene, that players a bit more comfortable on this map with Cypher, so we'll give it to them.
Mm.
There's only three Sentinels, right? I'm not forgetting somebody. Cypher, Killjoy,
Three.
Sage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Three.
Sage is Reina in this situation. Just slot her in the last place. Okay, going on to controllers, I think I'm going to be very interested, and I'm going to throw the question off instantly. Is Astra not S tier according to anybody here?
No, I think Astro's pretty S tier or A tier. S tier, A tier,
A. Yeah.
Haven. Yeah.
Alright. So like, so I'm saying this because I've seen Astra been playing a lot on Haven by almost every team that has gotten used to Astra. They play her as a primary controller. I was talking to my stream about how I don't like Astra as the primary controller. I prefer her as the secondary controller, where she has a lot more options rather than just being focused for her smokes. But people are playing Astra as the primary controller. So I actually go to HellrangeR here, because I think this discussion is a lot less about the agents themselves rather than how easy it will be to pick up a new agent and fix it into a comp. Like how will it affect comms, stuff like that. So do you think like Astra slotting is simple, or like do you think Omen will still be like one of the best in the game?
I think I honestly feel Astra is a very good agent on at least 4 out of the 5 maps. I don't think
Okay.
Astra has a place on Icebox.
Yeah.
Fair.
Apart from that, I think you can use Astra in all the other maps. Let's see, if I'm not, yeah. But
Yeah.
even on Split, even if you don't use it on Split, at least on Haven, Ascent, and Bind, I think you can use Astra a lot. The problem being, right, to play Astra, to the firstly the Astra player is most of the time going to be focused on his util.
Yeah.
He needs to know the proper timings to open his util. He needs to know the proper place of when to place them, and he has to do it quickly. So I was myself trying it out, or trying that, how I can play with Astra or how I can do it. It's a bit hard. It's not easy, but once the player learns it, it's still not a done deal, because your team needs to play according to that util. So let's say, we were playing a random practice match XYZ. Let's say I am an Astra, and I tell my players, okay, let them take U-hauls on bind, and I'll help you take U-hauls with the help of my utility.
Yeah.
But
But
if my players decide to go aggressive before that and then they die, then the Astra, I feel, almost becomes astronomically useless, because it needs the teammates to play off of util. So
Mm.
again, in a team game environment, I think you can make a lot of use of Astra, but I think the players need to get used to it, especially here in the Indian scene where everyone loves to take fights. People need to bring in that I'd say calmness, or the ability to play around that agent, because if they do, I think it's a really really powerful agent. I actually feel it can replace Omen on majority of the maps, and but I still feel on Icebox and Split, Omen is still a better controller than Astra. But on Haven, I'd say it's a 50-50 split, because I like the ability to position myself on different boxes in Haven along with the paranoia,
Yeah.
and at the same time it gives you the ability to sneak in as well. But with the Astra, it's very hard to be a lurker, because you need to constantly be putting out that utility for your teammates, and you cannot you cannot gain high ground, or you cannot be on positions on top of boxes and whatnot. So on Haven, it's 50-50, I'd say, but on Bind and Ascent, I think Astra wins all the way.
Yeah, that's really interesting. But like, it's also because like the thing is like Viper doesn't even come into the question despite her buffs, and same for Brimstone. Like despite how much they've been buffed, they don't even come into the question. And Omen, you nerf him, you nerf him, you nerf him, but he's still so hard to let go. So like Sami, I'm gonna come to you on this.
Mm.
I want to ask you a bit more about solo queue. Like, what's it been like in the Indian Singapore scene? Like, are people actually picking up Astra, or is it just like, man, I learned Omen for 6 months. This is gonna take me a while to let go.
Honestly, in solo queue pugs, I would say people still pick Astra where I didn't expect them
All
to,
right.
because Astra is, I think, it's a more like a team, team agent in some sense.
Uh huh.
But honestly, I think Astra is pretty strong compared to other, Omen or other controllers, whatever. Like assuming, let's say, I mean, Bind, yeah. I pick Belong from defense with an op as a jet, right? And I
Uh
see
huh.
him put an orb below me. I'm gonna get scared because I'm pretty sure he's gonna
Yeah.
stun me
Yeah,
or pull
yeah.
me. So I'm gonna try avoid that, because I'm
Yeah.
almost gonna die. So
Yeah.
like it can make it can like you can take map control with Astra easily on attack, basically. And on defense, I think Astra combined with Ray's Sova Killjoy is really strong. Like I
Yes.
saw a clip
Yeah.
on Bind, like the Astra put the orb on Showers, and the guy from Showers peaked, and they communicated this one Showers. He pulled it, and the Rays threw a nade, and he died. So that's a really good
Yeah.
combo on defense.
So right now, the biggest advantage of Astro Utility is you're forced to respect it. Like you can't
Yeah.
break
Yeah.
it, right? So you're forced to respect it. You just have to wait to see what they do with it,
Mm.
because you don't know what they're gonna do with it and when they're gonna do with it. So it's really really strong that way. But then on the other hand, the biggest disadvantage of Astra is that being in the astral form, like when you're in that, you can't do anything else. Like when Omen, when you're in the astral form, in his smoking form, you can run, right? You can at least run and like throw the smoke that way, but you can't do that with Astra. And it's going to be a little bit of a 4v5 coming in for your team, and you cannot support them directly with gunfights, while you might be able to support them with utility. So it
Mm.
really gets down to when to be in the astral form and when not to be in the astral form.
Good.
And I'd like to
Astral
add
form
a
and when
point to
not to
what
be.
Malav
Like,
said. Apart from that, the player playing Astra has to be really smart on when to
yeah.
fake his smokes.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you don't
Yes.
do that well enough, right, the opponent team is gonna almost telegraph
Stacks
where
it.
your hits are
Yeah.
gonna be, and they're
Yeah.
just gonna stack the sides. So again, it's the same Killjoy versus Cypher debate,
Yeah.
where everyone knows how
Mm.
to play a Cypher, everyone knows how to play an Omen, but to learn to become an Astra, or to be a player who can play Astra, you need to put in that extra effort. You need to be
Yeah.
extra smart, I feel, um, and be willing to be at the bottom of the scoreboard for majority of the time, because that is
Yeah.
where you're gonna be.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
like
True.
apart from the assists, that is where you're gonna be, and you need your team to make full use of that utility.
So yeah, since we're on this
Mm.
since we're on this Astro versus Omen conversation, I think I'd like to ask Sami and HellrangeR. Do you think the paranoia is worth giving up in current scenario on Omen? Like if you choose to drop him, do you think that flash, one of the the best flash, like a lot of people like to say, given its range and stuff, do you think it's worth giving up and picking up the Astra for the additional utility with the stuns, the gravity well, and stuff like that? Do you guys would you replace the paranoia with that?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Straight
I
up.
would if my not in perks, but in
Yeah,
matches
in
I would
Yes.
if
perks.
my team is making use of that utility. Yes, uh, it's like if I'm thinking of myself, anyways want to play the Omen any day, any given point of time. But thinking of the team, I think I'd give it up for the Astra.
Would you guys have the same decision if the Omen Flash was still 200, or does
Ooh.
the price still come in as a factor?
I would
For
still choose Astra.
Okay.
for me, the price does not come in as a factor
Uh-huh.
because like even with the Omen Flash being at 400, I'd rather get the paranoia than
Yeah,
get the full
yeah,
Kevlar, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
it
true.
wouldn't
Yeah,
make a difference to me.
It's a very interesting topic because
yeah.
I think it's exactly as HellrangeR said. For all of you in chat, I'm going to put in a shameless plug, but I think if you do exclamation Astra, you get to see my Astra video. But
Yeah,
one of the biggest things I was talking about in that video is I know everything sounds broken about her kit, or really good rather. Like there's gravity wells, this concuss. The ult itself is insane. But in my opinion, the most broken part about her kit is the fake smokes, the ability to just
yeah,
fuck with what you're doing. Like there's so many uses for it, like setting up, for example, ult top control with the fake smoke. Like they don't know whether to expect. Should I be peeking this smoke area or should I just let it go? Just the mind games that I can play, and it's a double-edged sword. It's as you said. If that guy is not using his fake smokes properly, like even in the example Sami mentioned, if there's a star coming down and be long on bind where the opper is playing, I don't even need to use any abilities. I just fake smoke that, and then the opper is just screwed. He can't hold that position
Mm.
anymore. And
Yeah.
yeah, like the way she can shut her down is absolutely insane. So I think we can settle that. It's a whitewash to Astra. I'm gonna
Yeah.
quickly ask you guys. We'll go through a quick vote procedure. I don't think there's much to discuss, but Brim or Viper for third and fourth, who is better on here?
Viper.
Brim third and Viper
Brim
fourth.
third.
Fuck Brim.
Me. Brim third for me. Yeah, that's Brim third for me as well.
I'm a Viper fanboy, but I'm sorry, Sami. I don't think she can be played on Haven. Like, it's just too
Yeah,
hard.
we saw her. I think the Cena and Korea team ran her like as a lurker
Like,
along with
way
Omen,
back. Yeah,
like
yeah.
way back. Yeah, when the Cena and Korea team actually existed. Like now it doesn't.
Yeah.
But they ran Viper as a lurker and defaulted utility C site. And you still have Omen utility to work with for the other sites.
Uh-huh.
And like that, and and a secondary controller, like that's the thoughts I had initially about Astra as well. Like I remember watching Boaster, like Fnatic's captain, who said that, like on Astra, like you have so much of the utility, and on a map like Haven, right? Let's say your default smoke goes up C long, you smoke C long, try and contest op control, then you need two more smokes for the execute, right? Like your CT smoke, market smoke, Heaven
Yeah.
smoke, CT smoke, whatever, like whatever, garage smoke, whatever you want, two smokes at, right? Then you only have two orbs left now, right? Only two orbs, and you aren't using 100% of the utility if you're using one star or where it's just two pieces of utility that you can work with at max, like the gravity well and stuff like that. So it isn't the best 100% uh, primary controller, but teams have found
Yeah.
ways around that, and it's a lot. And we'll speak about that a little bit later, I guess. Like I have a few thoughts about that.
Yeah, it's that's where I think it's really interesting in the meta now. You can run pretty much anything. Like the double controller
Yeah.
thing that people used to try back in the day. It's actually, I feel like
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the
Double smokes on
stronger
Ascent. Like
comps.
I remember, yeah,
Yeah.
double smokes on Ascent was like huge meta. Like
Yeah.
when it first came out, like Brim and Omen, like
Yeah.
TSM used to run double smokes. So many teams used to run
Yeah.
double smokes.
So it's an
So it's just
interesting
meta.
topic. But
Yeah,
for now, I think Astra just whitewashed. So we'll go over
true,
to
true.
initiators. I'm gonna make a statement here. I will be very surprised if I am, like the statement doesn't go through. But like Sova, without a doubt,
Sure.
S tier is our conversation just Sky versus Breach, or like do any of you actually think that Sova is not the best agent on Haven in initiators?
So was ST, yeah.
Over
So
is Astra, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So okay, Sky versus Breach. Let's go. I
True.
know HellrangeR doesn't like Sky, right? I've heard
Yeah.
this.
I asked the Ranger this on stream, I
no,
think.
I don't like to play it personally. I
Yeah.
Okay.
still feel you can play it as an agent. That's not an issue. I personally, I don't like playing Sky. Like I
Okay.
can play any other agent apart from Jet and Sky, maybe. So
Wow.
S-
This.
so on
but
Haven, which
as
one do you prefer?
yeah, but
On your team, you
Sova
don't have
followed
to
by
play it,
Sova
but
followed by Breach. I
okay.
Breach.
don't even put Sky into consideration for Haven, to be very
Yeah.
Wow.
honest.
I think the map's too big and Sky
Yeah,
Flash's range are a little too like
Yeah.
low-ish, and a 6-second wolf with near-sighted wolf versus a 10-second drone that can go like 500 kilometers in the air is
Yeah.
really the debate in
Sova's.
this case that we have.
And also the shock darts, right? I
Yeah,
also
double
believe the
shocks,
shock,
anything.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
shock darts
huge
for the
potential.
tripwires and the ulti in itself for a map.
Sinatra alt right off the start and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
Even if not that, right? Even like for the push plans, for the killjoy ult, the Sova ult in
Yeah.
itself is, I feel, much more valuable at that
C
point.
is having Team My versus Bren flashbacks right now.
Oh my god. I actually remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
That's
the
it was unfortunate. I'm gonna quickly segue to Sami here. It's a quick discussion, but do you think that Sky is better than Breach? Because I'm with them. Like I think I'm a Sky fanboy. Again, I think everybody who watches me cast know this, but I just don't think there's space for her on Haven
I
compared to the Breach. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, in Haven compared to the Breach, I still think I think that Breach is better in
Yeah.
yeah.
Haven compared to the Sky. Even though I like Sky a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's unfortunate. Like that's why I think this was the simplest map. Over the other
Mm.
maps, like of course, like certain topics will be easier, but then there will be some really, I think, even bigger discussions. Like of course, we had a lot of the base discussions already. The Cypher versus Killjoy, for example, the Astra Omen. Like I think these two particular things will come up for every map. But now that we've had our discussion, it'll just be more about allocating to a certain map what we think is better. But for now, you guys have it on your screen. The Duelist was the most contended as expected, but other than that, in general, it was pretty. I think we agreed all around as expected for Haven. So, yeah, like very standard in terms of tier list. I'm excited to see if any teams actually just come out and prove me wrong over the next month in India. Of course, internationally they're definitely going to do that, but in India, I'm excited to see if any teams are able to do it. But hey, that was map one. We'll quickly go to map two, and we're gonna go, let's say, to bind. Do
Sure.
you guys want to do any other map like bind? Okay, let's do bind.
Works with
Let's start off simple.
Fine.
Duelist again, same. I'm gonna ask you the same question, but this time I'm gonna add my own
Oh,
flavor to it. Uh, why is Jet even considered? Like, should she even be in the tier list, or should we just kick her out for mine?
Yeah, for one, I'm for the Rays and Phoenix over the Jet
Yeah.
on Bind. I
Yoru
I
even.
would like to see a lot more teams dropping this Jet on Bind.
Alright.
Uh, I like the Rays and the Phoenix pick, or even the Rays and the Sage pick, like dropping the Phoenix if you want. But if you really want those flashes, go in for the Phoenix. I'm fine with that. I think I don't know. I just feel that Rays can do a much better job at helping you clear angles.
Yeah.
But then the whole filler angle that HellrangeR was talking about, that like you need a cipher for that and not a killjoy. Like so that's my
mm,
second answer to you as well.
Okay, so I'll go to HellrangeR directly actually because I think on this map the Omen discussion will also be there. But before we get to that, so like, what do you think? Like Jet, which tier directly? Like, should she even
See,
be there?
out of the five maps on G, I think on Bind we have tried 20 different combinations
Yeah.
Yeah.
till now.
Yeah, you've tried Dual Sentinel, you've
We,
tried Sage.
we have tried
Breach.
everything there is
Yeah.
to try, right? And they're also
Yeah.
in official matches. We don't have any shame in
Yeah.
considering it. But we had
Yeah, I
to. We had
remember
so
this.
many
Yeah.
events,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
had no other choice. But like I think like I still think there is a space for Breach and Jet, right?
Yeah, we've seen
I
yeah.
I still feel there's a way, but I think with the way Astra is going to be coming in, I think you can also play like if you have any flasher which can flash over long distance, let's say a Sky or a Breach, I think Jet is still viable. If not,
Okay.
then I'd say the Raze and Phoenix combination any day. But if you have a flasher which can flash long distances, like either the Sky or the Breach, I
Mm-hmm.
think a Jet
mm,
is still viable in creating spaces along with the Raze because you can use the util of the Raze of Astra to block off one angle for the Jet,
Mhm.
and along with the flash of the Breach or the Sky, he can just go and explode and kill the person on the other side and open up the map for you, which I feel is still viable on a map like Bind. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have those flashes in either a Sky or a a breach, then I don't think Jet is viable enough on this map.
Alright, Sami,
Mm,
honestly, I
true. I
wasn't
have to.
expecting you to pick a race on Haven, so this is
uh,
gonna be interesting here. What do you think?
no, I kind of agree with what HellrangeR said. Like,
Okay.
if you play Jet, you need a flasher.
Yeah.
Unless without that, you can't make space compared to the Raze or
It
Phoenix.
becomes it becomes a lot more brute force then, like
Yeah.
without the flash. Yeah.
Yeah, so like okay, in with respect to that though, like how would you uh for example, like say if I have to put her in S tier, I'll put her as Jet needs flash in brackets in S tier,
Yeah,
but
Esther.
even with that flash, like
No,
is
but I'd
she
say
S
you can
tier or
put
is
her at
Raze
A tier.
A
Like
tier?
the
Okay.
race has to be S tier.
Yeah,
Okay.
Raze has to be S. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
It's really interesting hearing that considering you guys don't run the race, you guys run Jet
Yet,
Phoenix or fine. No, but
I
I
mean,
understand.
Maybe
I,
some
I, I,
foreshadowing. Some
I
foreshadowing
mean, we
later.
eventually will be pushed to run race,
Yeah.
right? We like we haven't had the time to practice, but right now we are practicing, so maybe you'll see some new compositions on
That's
the
what I
way.
say.
But
Yeah.
in the meanwhile, in the compositions we are running, we didn't have the time to practice with the race.
Fair
Like
enough.
the individual
Yeah.
players did not have the time to practice with the race, so that is the bigger issue.
Mm.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So, alright, I think that was the simple thing. I will go to beat in C. I think there's a bit more debate here because I'll ask you, Sami, directly. Phoenix, Reina, Yoru. I actually think Yoru is viable on bind because of the way the footsteps actually. Every other map, I think his footsteps are useless. But maybe on bind, if you can use the TP noise footsteps to your
Mm.
advantage, he can be viable. Like, what do you think? Is Yoru even in the discussion, or is it just Phoenix, Reina for the last two spots?
I think Yoru with Astra is
Alright.
really powerful. Like with the teleports and things. Like
Mm-hmm.
uh, y- you know the Astra wall, you can
Yeah.
divide and block off information. The Yoru can fake double fake
Yeah.
essentially with the teleport and the wall. So I think
Yeah.
with Astra is really good. But without him, I think somewhat.
Like the community started hating Hero so much, like since the day he came out. Like
Too loud.
he is one of the second biggest counters to Sentinel utility.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people
Mm.
really have paid attention to that. Like he can like trigger trips, trigger alarm bots, turrets,
Mm.
force you to pop mollies, so many things. But given how loud his utility was since day one, people just stopped
Yeah.
liking Hero and no one really played him. But I don't know, like it'll be interesting to see like with this new reformed new type of Yoru, how much of it you're gonna see. Like I for one think that with the new 25-second teleport and not on two kills refresh, 35 or 25 seconds gate crash. I'm not too sure about
I
that.
think it's
It's one of
35.
Yeah,
35.
35.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good agent to opt with in certain cases, but it's not a huge replacement for the dash.
Yeah.
So it's really like you can rotate much faster with it, or you can like with the dash. There's a lot of arguments going on right there. But I think we need to see a little bit of pro play coming out from that. I'm
Mm.
really interested to see what happens in the future.
Ranger, what do you think?
I've been a fan of Fuck Yoru Club since day one. So I was really excited the moment it came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like honestly, even when the patches used to come in and Euro has got this buff, fuck it, I'm not reading this shit unless I
Yeah.
see an astronomical change in Euro. I'm not gonna
yeah,
be ever thinking of running it. But I did think of running it in Ascent, as I said, but it's still I still don't feel it's ready enough.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, see, to make the Euro viable, there's one thing I do, right? The gate crash, I should be able to control where it
troll.
goes and
Yeah,
see where
yeah,
the opponents,
Oh,
like
that
just
would
like
be
you
bro.
control your ult,
That would be
right?
broken. That
No,
would
I
be
mean,
broken.
no. You cannot control it to an extent where you can put it
yeah,
anywhere. You
yeah,
have a
Uh-huh.
limited usage, but just like you have a circle around your ultimate,
Hmm.
I'd say you should have a circle around your gate crash and like an astral form of Astra, just let me, avoid
choose.
the opponents
Yeah,
and put it in a place where I can. Because the opponents are still gonna hear when I do it, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
at least let them not know while it's coming. Because let's say if I put a gate crash, even though they have reduced the radius, it still goes from next to me. It's almost
yeah.
as useless as it was in the first place. So at least let me be the one controlling it, and if they make that change, that is the time I'm going to start picking Yoru.
Fair enough.
I,
Yeah.
it's a very interesting point, I think, because a lot, at least from where I remember when Euro got released, a lot of it was supposed to be lineups where his flashes, his gate crash, even you're supposed to like the devs want you to like learn all of these lineups where you can get his gate crash into just insane positions. Like I remember Reddit the day he came out, we're like how to Yoru TP to enemy base from this spot and how to like it was just absolutely insane stuff. But it was the noise really that brought him back.
Yeah, that's just yeah.
Yeah,
It was a
but
huge turn
it's
off.
not gonna be viable in the professional scene, right?
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
whatever most of the shit they put in Reddit are their
pug
own custom ten
plays.
man. No, not
Mm.
even pugs. They just make
uh-huh.
their own custom 10 mans, and for the clips they just put like even if you see most of the
Yeah.
crack clips of top content creators are still that itself. They just create a 10 man and tell people to stand there and put their results here and there, or put their uh, killjoy molotovs with the Astra orb and ask five people to die there. It's not gonna happen in a professional match. I'm sorry, it's never gonna happen. But
Yeah.
people like to see it, so they fake it till they make it. That's it.
I
I
love
think
the
it's
little.
possible, but as I
Yeah.
said, like I just don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. Because even internationally, the way they're using Yoru is they use this gate crash for safety. They don't use it aggressively.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Yeah.
push it back and then they peek and then they use it to get away. So it's a while. So Phoenix Raider, like, do you think any one of them is particularly better? Because I think they're pretty much the same. It's team dependent on like you want more utility or you want more firepower. Like, what do you guys?
I've grown to like the run it back a lot more
Yeah.
recently than the Empress.
Right?
Like it's so much space creation, so much info for your team. I just don't think it's worth giving up on a lot of
True.
maps.
Sami?
Would have to agree. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
I would agree. Yeah. Even though I
Okay.
play Reina a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was interested. But like HellrangeR, he plays the Phoenix, so I think
Yeah, no,
we can
unless you have a
expect.
player
Mm,
like Scream, I'd say a Phoenix any
Even
day.
Yeah.
Scream on the Phoenix these days, like a lot. He's
Yeah,
been playing
I
a lot of Phoenix. Yeah. So even he's like, you know what? Yeah, you're out of here, Reina. I'm gonna go to like a better agent now. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
Phoenix.
All right. Sentinels, I'm gonna keep this discussion, this part quick, because I feel like we covered a lot of Cypher vs Killjoy, and I don't think we're at the map where Sage actually comes into discussion just yet. But Cypher vs Killjoy, like, just really quick, why do you guys prefer whichever agent you do, and why? I personally prefer the Killjoy. I think she's just way better because you don't have to worry as much about the range and rotations. But like, what do you guys think?
I think it's more against like what team you're playing against. I think both of them. It's like a little lot more like it's a lot more balanced discussion compared to Haven, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
against teams that like to run the breach jet, I think a killjoy would be a lot better. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you have a lot more aggression coming in, the killjoy is a lot better. With teams picking up the sky a lot more on this map, I think the killjoy just gets stronger because the sky, the Sova utility to break the killjoy ultimate, you've just lost a lot more utility to break and counter killjoy. So it's honestly what agent comp you're expecting in the opponents. I think both of them are at a pretty safe position.
But if you had to pick
Mm,
in general.
potentially the killjoy. Yeah, the killjoy is
Alright,
my pick.
we'll go to Sami. What do you think, Sami? Cypher, Killjoy, Bind,
think
Moroccan in
I
Morocco?
I think from the recent matches I've been watching, the use of Astra with the Killjoy, I
Yeah,
really liked it.
yeah. Astra killjoy is insanely powerful. Like mollies and gravity
Yeah,
wells
the
together.
Molly, the gravity well, they get
Uh,
destroyed completely.
yeah, it's free kills honestly.
I believe GE actually run the Cypher, but I feel like this might be another case of Raze here. So I'll ask
I've seen.
Hellranger.
I'm pretty
What do
sure
you
I've
think?
seen. I've seen globally sports switch it up in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah,
I'm
they
pretty sure
have.
there's some
I'm saying
thinking involved
right
in the game.
now they run this Cypher though. So,
Yeah.
yeah, at the moment we are really shitty with playing Killjoy as a team, apart
uh-huh.
from a split. So that is something we are working on because you sometimes tend to get used to playing with a cipher where you have your back secured with a trip. With Killjoy, that is not always the case, especially in bigger maps like Bind or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
let's say Ascent, right? So you don't have that safety where you have your back covered at all times with the trip.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, so with that sense, we have, like I think a Killjoy is more useful, but we still haven't gotten used to playing
Yeah.
with that comp as much as we would like. So that does not mean we are not practicing. So teams watching this, don't worry, we are. But
We'll
we
beat
are
you at the
just
next
not.
tournament. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like at this moment, we're just trying to figure it out. But I'd say it's a bad. I think you can use either,
Uh-huh.
but for me, it's still a 50-50 in this scenario.
Yeah, GE have some nice retake setups with the Cypher Cages camera
Yeah.
things that from what we've seen
It's
in
why it's
games.
50-50, right? Like it's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
hard
yeah.
to pick, I think, but objectively, I think it goes to the occasion.
Yeah,
We'll
it
see.
goes both.
Like
Yeah.
for all the viewers though, the Sentinels aspect till we get to Split and Icebox, which is where I think it'll be a more lively discussion with Sage in the picture. In general, Killjoy Cypher are both S and A tier, so like it's just very
Yeah,
hard.
but Sage is like a decent pick as well on this map. I don't
Yeah.
see any issues with teams running it. Like we saw
Items and Killjoy
Genji running
Cypher.
it. Yeah, Genji actually dropped Hyun. He actually dropped the Jet for the Sage, which was one of the most
Jet
interesting
battle
things that
Sage,
he
right?
did. Yeah, that's really interesting. 100 Thieves all map Sage on Ethan. Like they've been doing extremely well with it, right? And like I was watching Steel's stream today, right? And he said that fighting out for map control with a Sage is so much easier compared to fighting it out with a Jet. He said that like if you say you've taken up some map control, you can just wall it off, throw in slow orbs, and just buy time and buy space over there, which you can't necessarily do with a Jet. And with the nerfed smokes, 4 seconds, it's even harder to do the same thing. And with Sage receiving love with like the wall not losing strength over time and 30 seconds of just being there, that's what teams have been leaning towards now.
Yeah, that's where I think the difficult part of our discussion is because Sage is when you pick her, not Sentinel Sage ever. Like
Yeah.
I don't think like, and the teams I do see playing Sentinel Sage are just I don't like it at all.
I don't
So
think Sage should be called a sentinel. I think it should be called
Healer.
mummy
either
or a support.
Yeah, fair enough.
True, true.
I, I honestly, that is what I feel it should be called, right?
Fair enough.
Like mothers always stand in front of you when someone's hitting
yeah.
you or to come into your defense. That's what the wall does, and so
She's like
she's
the jack of
always,
all trades.
yeah, she'll always kiss your arms when you're hurt, and she'll heal you, or she'll put medicine on you or ointment on you, so you get the heal from there. And
Yeah.
as soon as you're about to leave a house for a party or to meet some friends, she'll have thousands of questions to slow you down. So I I feel the name itself is uh, perfect.
Yeah,
Uh,
fair enough. Yeah.
Bobby Sage. Yeah, I like it, man. Guys, when you go into solo queue and when you are like, "Mummy, heal me, please," record that and tag us and remind us that it came from this podcast. Um, but yeah, I totally get. Yeah, Sage doesn't fit in, but since she is a sentinel, we'll go with that for now. Controllers, similar discussion. This time, Brim more. Sami, I'll start with you. What do you think? Brim, Astra, Brim, Astra.
Astra, of course, man. I mean, on bind, maybe you could pick Brim. I think it would be better to pick both, honestly. Like
Okay.
Astra can be used as a initiator type, You can take
Uh-huh.
map control, like like I said before, against an opper. Right. Like I saw one team play Astra and Omen on the Ascent, I think. It was that Korean team, WGS. Like, they utilized
Yeah,
both the
yeah.
smokes, right? Like,
I haven't seen
but
teams play Astra Viper. Like on that note, on bind, like
mm,
I think
Mystic,
FPX were running it.
Fnatic, FPX.
Yes.
Fnatic
So
started off with it when they were Summon FC, I think.
no,
mm,
I'm talking
Uh,
about Astra Viper. Like, yeah, Fnatic used to run double
yeah,
controller
Viper, yeah.
Viper bind back in the day, but now Shadow on Astra, they're running that again. FPX, I mean, not Fnatic. Hopefully, Fnatic do it too, because Booster is a great Viper. But
Yeah,
I'll assume Astra is S tier from all of you. I'll bring
yeah.
the
yeah.
more interesting question. Brimstone, Omen, Viper. Who gets A tier and why?
I think Omen gets A tier. Because like taking so much map control with that paranoia, let's say you flash entrance of U-Haul, flash B into hookah, flash octagon. just so many setups, and I really like the setups that we've seen 100 Thieves come out with, like on the camera and the paranoia. Like you pair those two up, that's a really strong setup and can net you in one free kill essentially almost all times. So I'm a huge fan of a setup like that. Uh, the Brimstone, I don't know. So I don't really see where we could be ending up with Brimstone. I just don't know where he fits into the meta right now. Like
Uh,
what part of his utility do you play Brimstone now for?
I
Like
s-
even the
on Bind
elongate.
I still it's still much more useful than on other maps. I feel
Yeah,
Brimstone
yeah, yeah. Brim
because
was
of its Molotov lineup, its ult,
yeah, yeah,
it's you have three smokes to do proper executes, which especially on the A side of Bind is something that you can make full use of.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are running, as I said, if you're running a flash comp, be a breach or a sky, along with the brim is
Brim
something you
is
can
yeah,
make a
Yeah.
lot of use of. And brim is especially powerful in keeping showers control all the time with his smokes and
mhm,
molotovs. So you
yeah.
keep denying that access to the teams, just
Yeah.
like Mahi does, and which brought a smile to CS face. So you keep
What?
so you can keep doing that for a long period of time, or at least fake it, right?
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
not taking it, you can still fake it or deny control of that part.
Yeah.
And showers being a big part of the map, such
Mhm.
is I feel you can do with brim. You can do a lot of stuff, but I'd say I'd still put the omen over the brim in a sense, but I'd say I can put both of them on the A tier for
Yeah,
now
that's fine.
Okay.
for bind.
Yeah.
See,
Omen
see,
Brim very close. Oh, Sami. Yeah, I just noticed.
can
You
can
have
you
to go,
check?
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
go.
yeah. Yeah, it's okay,
Sorry,
guys. So
guys.
for the chat reference, no, it's okay. He's going to. Wait, what's your team called, Sami?
Huh?
What's the team called? Like where are we going? What banner do we
Oh,
see you
oh,
on?
basically, I'm playing a local tournament in my country, like just for fun. I
So
named my
Sami and
team
friends.
Sami
Sami go
Oh
kill.
my
Friends.
god!
Yeah,
Whoa!
Sami and
I
Friends.
Actually,
I've
seriously.
seen a lot of teams them outlaw and friends.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
also
yeah.
solo and
Basically,
friends.
from that, I made Sami and Friends.
Uh,
We're the same lineup,
oh,
basically.
same line.
Same
Okay.
lineup. Me and Outlaw, Fraggy.
Okay.
XD. Outlaw no longer Batman. Sami will become Batman. Outlaw becomes Robin. No, but seriously, guys, he's gonna go play a professional game. So we'll catch him later. We'll continue the discussion for now. But yeah, good luck with your game, Sami. I
All
hope
the best,
you kill
Sami.
it.
all the best.
Thank you,
Yep.
Helen.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye bye.
Alright, so Omen Rim is what we landed at for both, I think. So I'll keep it like that. I really feel bad for Viper because I genuinely think she's good on this map. The issue, I think,
Yeah.
as you guys said, is others are just better. I do think Viper Astra will like be way
But I think you
stronger.
can, if you want to use a Viper, you can replace it. You can replace a Sentinel. I honestly feel that on
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
any map,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
right?
think we've seen a lot on Icebox, especially with teams leaning into the
Yeah.
Viper. You drop the extra sentinel, you don't run the killjoy. You
Yeah.
need the Sage because you're not getting the spike down without the Sage. So I definitely do understand. I do see a space where we see the Viper a lot more. And
Yeah.
Viper now, like earlier, the issue was that people didn't respect Viper utility, but now
Mm-hmm.
losing
Now
the
they have.
50,
Now
yeah,
you
now
come
50
through the
HP.
fucking wall and you
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah, yep,
in a
Yeah.
50
50
round you're
HP.
destroyed in a
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
half a second, and in buy rounds you just need 2 to 3 bullets connecting
Yeah.
on the body and you're done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like a lot more people are forced to respect Viper utility now. So it's going to be really interesting to see where it comes to. But then again, like what we spoke about earlier when you're talking about like anti-killjoy darts for Sova and stuff, like it require and Astra obviously you require to be like you need to be really really sharp when playing her because timing
Yeah.
of utility, learning all those lineups, it's a lot of work to be honest.
See, Viper and Killjoy, I think, need you to be the smartest player
Hmm.
around
Yeah.
if not around, at least in your team. I think you need to be really smart to play those two agents to their potential. And if you are smart enough, I don't think there's anything like it. Like a really good Viper player can eat your brains within seconds.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a really shitty one will give you free fights and lose
Yeah.
all hope of doing anything with the agent. So it's a double-edged sword. But I think if you are like if there's a smart player, he can really do a lot of damage with the Viper.
Yeah, post plants
Yeah.
are a lot easier as well with like lineups and stuff. Like so many
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even
Especially
even
like
even even with the lineups, right? Right now,
yeah,
even if you get delayed and put your smoke on the bomb,
Yeah.
right, they lose 50 HP
yeah,
immediately. Then they have double damage with the
yeah.
spit coming in as well, so they just get destroyed. They can't even do it half. They can't even do
Yeah,
the half
that's what
defuse
like
anymore.
that's what like Eccles from Liquid was I saw in one of his tweets. Like he one thing he didn't like is that there's no counter to mollies and things like this.
Yeah,
Like Killjoy mollies, you can shoot them. Viper mollies, you just see them coming from the sky and you just have to accept it after a
yeah.
point. Same goes for Brimstone, Sova double shocks, so many things. Like
Or even
raise
the
nades.
Astra orbs,
Yeah, even
right?
Astra, yeah.
You can't do anything about
Yeah,
that.
you have to respect the stars. And next patch is they're buffing her up a little bit more
Oh,
with
They're
like being
buffing
not
able
Dash.
to
little bit.
yeah, yeah. Like
She can
it's
pull
it's
people
one line,
diffusing.
but it changes the whole
Yeah,
like post-round
it's
scenario. It's I don't know. You can pull people off the spike now.
It's
yeah.
bullshit.
S-
I already feel Astra is overpowered, and if they do this,
Yeah,
then
I
they
can
like if I pick an Astra, they won't even see me on the map. The plant is
yeah.
on
That's
B
what.
side. I'm playing on A side. That's what
Yeah,
I'm going to
like
be doing,
it's
yeah
right?
impossible. Like
Just
you're
keep
forced to hunt
giving
them
people.
down. You're forced to hunt them down,
yeah.
and that's what I don't like about this state the game is going in. And I hope we have some sort of counter to that utility, like a Sage Slow or something. Like in
Hmm.
CS, how we had smokes to put out mollies. I hope something like that comes in
Yeah.
the future, and it's
Well,
the
but
game needs
isn't
something like
isn't
that.
it an interesting proposition? So let's say I put a Sage slow on the orb itself, and if they are to pull me in, shouldn't the effect be slower in general, in theory?
No,
Yeah,
no, no, because abilities don't stack. That I can tell you now itself.
Okay.
So the slow is it reduces movement speed. There's no. It's not like you know how it would be in say like an actual sandbox game where one thing that happens changes the world and affects any other thing that can happen. In this game, it's more like the slow will reduce your movement speed. It does make it harder for you to get out of gravity well, but the gravity well itself it will not affect. So that's weird. But I don't know, man. Because honestly, when I saw the Astra buff leak thing, I was like, eh, this is some stupid, not real thing. Because I can tell all of you in early access, this is quote from a dev's mouth. Astra will never be given the power to affect spike plant or spike diffuse. So I don't
yeah,
understand why they're giving her the power to affect spike diffuse. It's like it's OP. Like straight up, it's broken.
yeah.
It's OP. She doesn't need the buff. Maybe some other buff you could give, but like she needs enough to like the fake smokes and all of that and the
Yeah, she has a
ulti. But
global kit already, and she is like
yeah,
she has the best kit right off the bat, like global, like literally anywhere, like not even like Omen where you have restrictions and stuff. It's actually just global, and that's one of the best things you can ask for in Valorant. So I mean, I don't know. Let's see where I actually end up with. But I'm pretty sure Riot has something planned, so nerfs or something will be
yeah.
on the way.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, hopefully. We will
Yeah.
cross our fingers and wait. And for now, we will accept the Astra is just the queen of Valorant for the next, like, recent time being. But I think that's enough about controllers. I see Shivi in the chat. Of course, hi Shivi. Welcome to the stream. You can ask a question. Your timing is perfect because we're going on to initiators on Bind. Again, I think the third spot will be settled in easily. The first spot, I prefer Sova, but Sova versus Sky is the debate. What do you guys think?
Mm,
Like, I would rather have both Sova and Sky if I could, like a
yeah.
lot of teams are doing. But if you had to choose one, I think I would choose Sova more. Like, I get why the Sky is good, but in general, I think Sova is just way more reliable.
I think again, like it's Sky, like the issue is that even though she's a really, really fun agent to play, like I love playing Sky. I've been grinding her a lot recently. But the issue with that becomes is managing the economy of your flashes and your wolves. Like it's one
Yeah.
of the most important things coming into the game. While on Sova you can afford to be a little bit more reckless because you know in the next 35 seconds I have a recon coming up in, I can give that to my team and we can hit the site or whatever we need it for. But with Sky, if you throw out a flash, it's gone.
Yeah, you need to
Like
get
the
value.
first 20 seconds, if you're using like one or two flashes, now we have one flash for the whole execute, a wolf. I don't know how much you can do with that then. Like
Or
it
if you
just
look
becomes.
if you look at it in that way, then even the SOA recons at the most you'll get two or three in a round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you compare it in that sense, then having three flashes in terms of getting information, you obviously you don't get information of where the enemy is,
yeah,
but
it's a lot of wide
even if
range.
you break the SOA dart, the only information you get is that there is at least one enemy there. So that is the
Yeah.
same thing with the sky flash. If you use that flash in that sense, so you know at least there is one enemy there. Of course, well, if you use the recon and it is allowed to blink, then it's a different thing. But at most of the players at the top level, they don't allow the
Recons to
SOA
blink.
darts to, yeah, to
Yeah.
blink,
Yeah.
right? So um,
But so the reason I said something like this is because it's
but
lot.
I still just saying I still prefer the drone over the wolf any day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. But the reason I said this is because, like, if you look at utility timing, right, your flashes are a lot shorter range compared to your SOA dart. There's so many things you can do, like double bounces, charges, and stuff,
Uh-huh.
which is a lot harder to do with Sky. Like, like you can, and then even the Wolf is 6 seconds instead of SOA's 10, and like, so getting information consistently of a particular area, like getting complete information, can be a little bit hard. And one of the reasons like the Sky is becoming so popular right now is what I believe is that people don't really know how to play against the Sky.
Yeah.
Like like from CS:GO, like HellrangeR, like if you saw a flash thrown at you, the first instinct would be to turn away, right?
Yeah,
Not to shoot the bloody bird coming at you,
yeah.
because that's not something we're used to. And I think that's the one reason that Sky is big, is so much harder to counter, and teams like running her on bind, especially because that's one of the maps that she
No,
comes into play.
I actually agree because that is the one discussion I had my team, like I think a few weeks ago, where I said, the bigger problem we have is we are just running away from the flashes instead of breaking them. So
Yeah,
I was watching all the matches in EU or NA, and I'd see like, let's say the sky is defaulting either in Shahs or B long, and most of the players would just white peak and break the flash.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
They would not let her get that information.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right. So, or even if she got that information, they cannot act on it without using a secondary flash or the wolf
yeah, yeah.
or using more utility.
And
Right.
yeah, I think one of the best examples of this was, I think, when I saw Enigma Gaming run the Sky, and what one of the opposing team did, I don't remember the name currently, as they were contesting showers, and now Vexy has used one flash to get the info that there's someone here. Now he's smoked off. Now he's forced to use another wolf or a flash to be able to know what's
Oh,
happening
yeah,
inside of
okay, that's
showers.
yeah.
So it's a lot harder for me to get info. While on a Sova, 35 seconds new recon, I like a little bit easier in my opinion. But sure, again, they build no blinks on the recon and stuff like that. Aggressively
Yeah.
contesting against the Sky is a lot easier, in my opinion,
Yeah.
So we
compared
have
to
two
Sova.
questions for us, and I think they're really interesting. So Aman, it's mentioned. I really like this question because I think it is a change that Sky could get to just make her more viable in general. If the wolf was not a viable thing, he didn't mention the Bible thing, but I'm going to add that itself. Instead of, say, buying it to talk about the economy factor and also the one time thing, what if it was a refreshable ability, like, say, with a 35-second cooldown? Would that make her better than the Sova, or would that just make it a more like Cypher Killjoy discussion, like a 50-50 discussion? Like, where would that change Land Sky?
I think that makes it broken, honestly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just I just think that's broken to have
If
two drones
yeah,
30-35 seconds.
if I had to make a change on Sky, I'd make her flash or the bird a little more powerful, and I'd increase the line of sight of the wolf.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Those
So
are the two non-meta breaking changes I would make, which would
Okay.
make her more viable.
okay, interesting thing about Sky. I was watching Crashy's video about it, and he said that all like even though your wolf is nearsighted, if you turn the wolf in a certain direction and there's someone far away but you can't exactly see it, it'll blink on the radar.
Yeah,
So
it does.
so it
Yeah.
shows up on the radar that way. So the vision point of view just becomes honestly like a little bit more of that and more freedom with Sky
Yeah,
utility.
but it's still a bit
Yeah,
easier to avoid a wolf than it is to avoid a drone.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because drone
Because
verticality
The
yeah,
essentially.
height, yeah, verticality. Like yeah, I mentioned that we mentioned that earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my basically point.
So the second thing is from Shivi actually. It was what we were talking about at the very start. Like Vision Strikers, for example, one of the best teams in the world. They're running this composition. So was Sky on every map. I think. Yeah, actually, I can't
Even
think of a single map.
Even NIP are running
Yeah,
server Sky
NIP.
together.
A lot of
Yeah,
teams are doing it across the globe, but like, of course, like VS, I personally like watching them do it because it's a very different style from what they used to do. So I'm gonna ask you, what like he asked me is it just good? I genuinely think it's good. But besides that, I want to ask you guys, like, do you think? I think it's very hard seeing Sova Sky in the Indian meta because of how like players are very little diverse. Like, of course, GE, you guys, I have shown like skills, especially. You can play anything. HellrangeR, I've seen you on stream like playing Sentinels a lot. So the top teams, I think, are diverse. But in general, do you think we'll see a Sova Sky meta come through in India, or is that like just not a thing?
Okay, we have played a few teams in Asia as well where they're running both SOA and the Sky. See, the thing is, um, if you are to replace it, you will replace it for sure with the duelist. You're not
Duelist,
going to
yeah.
replace it with anything else. The problem with that comp, like every comp has one or the other problem, right?
Yeah.
You just need to learn to live with it or play around it, right? Or you need to know how to play with your comp. The problem with that comp, I feel, is okay, you have two people taking map control or taking area, right? But who's making use of it?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
someone to take advantage of that map control or that area in a sense, right? The
Mhm.
problem where I have seen most of the people struggle while they're playing that comp is, so let's say I am a Sky player. So as Shivya said, it gives the ability to me, for me to freely take that area. Once I take that area, it's not like I can just stay there, or if there's no thing to build around it, right? If I take that area, the opponents can always take that area back, and in that
Yeah.
point, my the use of a Sky, which is an initiator, almost becomes null and void because there's no duelist per se to make use of it, or
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
that's where it's, for me, it's still a viable comp. I'm not saying it's not viable, it's still a good comp, but it's a tricky thing to figure out unless you have practiced it a lot on how you are going to make use of the comp, right? You
Yeah.
need to know what you're
So
going to do with it.
Yeah. CA and I have this discussion, like playing Sky and Sova in comparison to like Breach. Like it's a huge difference in the play style. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
with Sky, like that's what Team Mahi did. Like what I've seen in their match against QQQ, like they 13-0 QQQ. Worst example to give because I'm really close to Bones, Bullet, all of them, right? But
Yeah.
with right to is flashing B long each and every round, they had like Scally pushing up B long every round based on the no blinded call and no sound cue coming out of that. They just had easy flanks, early information, everything going for them, and it was so much easier for them to play around that. So that's why like the Sky is so much different in comparison to like two to three other initiators that we have in the game.
Yeah, and it's like talking about like the setups that HellrangeR was talking about. That you need really like the how to
Mhm.
really fill in the gap of the value that needs to come from Sky. I think it goes perfectly with what Shivi just asked. Like
And
he's
just
asking like, yeah, go on.
just to answer Shivi's question, which he has in the
Yeah.
chat, don't you think Sova is an initiator? Raise if Sova uses all his utility for himself. Let's put you in a position where you say you're a Sova and you're taking that part of the map alone, right? Keep aside Sky for one time. अगर सीवी तेरे against Sova खेल रहा है and he's just reconning alone, he's droning alone, he has his shock darts alone, you are not going to respect him. You are going to
Yeah.
Yeah.
punish him,
Yeah.
right? Or you are not going to play as scared as if you knew that, oh, after the Sova's drone there's an Opper placing his shot over there, or there's a Raze who's going to make advantage of that drone, or there's a Phoenix who's going to push forward with it, right?
Yeah.
You see, I'm not saying, like, see, the composition you're saying can be used, but it cannot be used in a way where Sova is playing alone and Sky is playing alone, or they cannot be alone. You can use it as a
Actually,
synergy comp, I feel, in the team
so
synergy.
from what I've seen with the way NIP run it and Vision Strikers run it, it's very interesting because they basically play off the exact thing that you talked about, which is if you know that the Sova is alone, you will rush them. What they do generally
No,
is
not
that
rush them. No, no.
like
So
push
see,
them and not respect them.
people will obviously fake it. Some rounds they'll have people with them,
Yeah,
some rounds they'll not. But the thing is, you always have tells of when people are there and aren't there,
that's true.
right? And
Hmm.
that is because of what is happening on the other side of the map. I'll tell you
Yeah,
a mistake which majority of the Indian teams or some of the Asian teams also make. If I do X thing on one side of the map, and if I'm showing that okay, I'm doing this again, but I'm not doing the same Y thing on the other side of the map. Most of the people say, arre, I thought he's alone. Hey, every round. So even my own teammates sometimes say this. Oh, every round he was coming alone, but this time he got someone. I'm like, okay, this time he got someone because there is nothing happening on the other side of the map. So
yeah,
we make that place depending on like if I am the caller of the team, I'm not gonna ask you to rush down Sova just depending on my gut instinct that okay, he's playing alone on all parts of the map. I'm gonna do that on the basis of what is happening on the other side of the map. Where
Yeah.
are the multiple players, or where is the gap at? Right. I'm gonna always make a play based on that. So that was pertaining to Shivi's question that if a Sova is alone, then I would not respect him and maybe
Yeah.
take him down, or I'd know, or I'd gather information after that. So let's say he drones and I put a counter Sova drone, or I flash pick with the Phoenix, and I don't see anyone peeking or contesting that thing, then I know for sure he's alone and I can put my eggs on the other side of the map and try to take that fight, or try, do XYZ things. So I'm
Yeah.
always up for making plays on base of information. I don't like making blind plays most of the time, because that those lead you nowhere. Right? I'm not just gonna assume कि हाँ हर round रेज अकेला होका आ रहा है
Yeah.
तो ये round भी अकेला ही होगा इसके लिए मैंने push कर दिया. So that does
Yeah.
not happen. So
I
for
mean,
me
I
that's not
think
logic.
that's where like the most interesting aspect is I analyzed on stream a couple of days back. I was analyzing an Astra game, but that Astra game was on bind and they had a Sova Sky in it. And what I noticed that they would always do is like the information aspect, right? It was all about denial of that. Like they were contesting the power points across the map where like showers became one big battleground and then long became another big battleground, and they were continuously just trading like utility for utility at showers and long. And because of that, for the attacking team, it becomes almost impossible to actually get any usable information where you're like, hey, there is Sova utility coming on one side, there's Sky utility coming on another. I don't know because of the fact that I can't really contest on both sides. Like Sova drone on one side, you can contest with Sova drone again on the other side, but then you can't contest the Sky. And if she pushes aggressively with like a couple of duelists, like we usually see 3 stack on B, then you
Yeah.
don't know what to do. So like that's where I think people still have to figure it out. The team I'm talking about actually lost the map, so
No, but
it's
there's
still
there's
weird.
still this
But
thing, right? If I had so she was saying, yeah, as a team keeping up, but the thing is, even as a team, right? If I were to play against that comp, and I know that can hurt me because she is my competitor, or people are going to be watching this, maybe whatever. But if I was to be playing against that comp, I'd make them use the utility at the start of the round and then fall back later on, because they just have one duelist to enter with, and I have made them use most of their sky flashes. I've made them use their recons and their drones,
yeah.
and then they don't have people to enter with unless they enter with their sentinel, right? And I keep my utility alive. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not gonna waste the brunt of my utility while they are using those initiators to take control of the map. I'm gonna fake it and make them use those utilities, then fall back, keeping my utilities and use it when they are coming in. Because at that time they are going to be divided. The Omen or the Astra is going to be throwing the
Yeah.
smokes. The Sova is going to be reconning. The Sky is going to be flashing, and you have the Sentinel watching the back. So who's entering? That's only one guy entering, or either you enter with the Sentinel and you have the risk of him dying and your back being open, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to play against that comp, I'd play it in a way where I'd make them use the brunt of the utility, and then while they are coming in, I use my utility to screw their timing and then just hold in the site while they try to enter.
Yeah, it's. I think it's that about sums it up. Like it's really down to execution and how you play through it. But it's an interesting concept. I like the fact that teams are trying it. I like the fact that Shivi brought it up. I hope that that means that Indian teams will also try it. Because like as we discussed earlier, like reason Sky was really strong recently was because teams didn't know how to play against it. So this could be a similar thing where like teams just don't know how to play against it. Even though HellrangeR just told you how to play against it, I'm just saying in general.
Oh,
But
well,
hey,
even if we know how to play against it, we as a team still make mistakes. So
yeah,
you guys can still use it against us, not an issue. But we are going to fuck up there as well. But we'll learn and we'll come back hard. That's
yeah,
the only thing I can say.
yeah, that's very true. And I really like that. Like the idea that hey, you know what, shit's gonna happen. We just gotta learn from it and get back to the very best. But hey, um, that was Bind. I'm honestly surprised that we've only been through 2 maps, but I like the fact that we've covered a lot of topics. I'll quickly go on to the third, which is gonna be for me Split. So I think Ascent is going to be very simple, and then Icebox, of course, I think it's simple, but it'll be a little polarizing. Like we might have very different opinions. So we'll start off with Split. I think Split is the most contested in certain areas. So again, in terms of duelers, I think Raze is whitewash S tier. Like, do you guys
Yeah.
think there's a contest thing there?
Nope.
What map are you talking about?
Split,
Ascent?
split, split,
Split,
split.
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 Oh yeah,
Yeah.
split. I think race is a necessity at this
Yeah,
point.
Raze and
Yeah.
Jet. Raze and Jet with flashing initiator.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Raze and Jet, I think S and A tier. Like if I had to drop one among Raze and Jet, I would drop the Jet. I think so. That's why S and A. For B and C, like I don't think Yoru has any space. I prefer the Reyna honestly on this map, but then again, you
Yeah.
guys were talking about the Phoenix utility, so
No, but
Phoenix or
no,
Reyna.
I'd say the rain on this map in particular, I'd prefer the Reyna because
Long range flash
yeah,
for map
long
control.
range flash ability and the amount of angles there are in the map.
Dismiss angles.
The Reyna flash is more viable than the Phoenix flash because Phoenix will flash off just a particular angle, and if someone's anti-flash, then they can come back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
with the Reyna flash, they have to break it or they have to show their presence.
that's true.
And also with the amount of sentinels on this map, like the utility being used on the other side, the ability to heal white in the moment of the combat or run away. Let's say you're fighting on B heaven and then you see a raise nade or you see a sage slow
Mhm.
combined with the killjoy or whatever be it. So the ability to run away or dismiss is what I mean, or heal in the moment of the combat. I think just for this particular map, I'd put Reyna over the Phoenix.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Like Malav, I think we've had the discussion too. I believe you also prefer the Reyna over the Phoenix. Like, do you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
otherwise?
yeah. But
Yeah.
it's interesting, HellrangeR, you chosen for the Reyna with Phoenix because one of the earliest God Squad comps on Split
Oh, I
was the
remember.
Raze and the Phoenix.
Hellfighter Phoenix, right?
Yeah, Hellfighter
Yeah,
Phoenix,
well,
the
because
Raze, and they just kept switching it up between the two of them.
we only knew to play a few number of agents at that point. Right? God Squad time, we were not even playing Valorant full time. We were playing CS full time and
Yeah,
just competing
yeah.
in
Yeah,
Valorant
yeah,
events.
yeah. Hey,
So
that's why we learned. And I'm honestly like, it's it's insane when now that I think about it. Like God Squad to like where GE are now,
Yeah,
in
huge
general, like the
difference.
community, the way it was to the way it is now, like growth is insane. So a big thank you to all of you for everything in general, for being here even. So just yeah, like I love you guys. But hey, let's go on to the next thing. Sentinels, this I think is simple. I think it's just Killjoy versus Sage, in my opinion. But I have seen a lot of teams in Europe default back to the Cypher recently. So I'll put it
Yeah.
all up in the air. Like, what do you guys think for Sentinels? Who's S tier?
For me, it's Cypher, to be honest.
S tier?
Cypher. I mean,
Sage
so
Killjoy.
okay, so for me, my dream comp on Split is Raze, Jet, Omen,
Okay.
Sky, and Sage. Like that's my dream comp on this map. I
Okay.
really like that. But if you give me a choice between Killjoy and Cypher, I'm opting in for the Cypher on
You can
this map.
choose Sage too.
Yeah, I mean, Sage is kind of like there for me. Like, if
Okay.
I mean, in just an individual argument, I would pick the Cypher. Because one, like the default cages that you throw out towards A to cross over, huge impact. Watching flanks with Cypher much easier than Killjoy. I think the camera that a lot of teams have on A early up in the barrier, you can spot everything towards the barrier. If not spotted by the teams, can be huge early info, in my opinion. I know a lot of teams like to get in the aggressive beam and information with the camera, and Dapper does that. We throw it, pull it back, keep teams guessing and stuff, which you
Yeah.
can't necessarily do with Killjoy. But the Killjoy ult is insanely powerful here, and given the fact that there's not going to be Sova and much utility to be able to counter the Killjoy can be put up there as well. But I'm kind of leaning into the Cypher out here.
What do you
One-way
think,
cages and
Helranger?
stuff like that are a lot more
Yeah.
used on this map. That was my AC, not yours. I have a habit of fidgeting with my
I,
remote.
yeah, it's totally
I
fine.
saw you turn around, so I was like, that's fine.
Helranger, what do you think though? Like,
I I think it's the Killjoy right now.
okay.
I feel Killjoy is a better, more viable agent, especially after the changes they made on
To
A
the map.
Heaven and
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Mhm.
after they made the changes to the split. So I used to like we used to play Cypher on Killjoy previously, where even on the A side you had that pace on Heaven where you could stand and kill on trips on the site, or just
Mm-hmm.
gather information, play on a retake and whatnot. That is not possible right now with the way they have made the map turn out
Yeah.
on the A side. But I feel overall the Killjoy ult is really really strong on this, and even
Yeah.
the defensive utility, right? Because of the choke points there are, the Molotovs and the turrets and the alarm bot, they become exceedingly valuable. Like a kill, I believe a good killjoy can even hold an A side with his own utility by killing 2 or 3 people or 2 people
Yeah.
and dying. It's still a good thing. Or even if he kills one and fallbacks and stays
Yeah.
alive, it's still a good thing on the retake. I'm not saying a cipher can't do that, but I believe even when being split upon
Mm-hmm.
from various angles, a killjoy can be a bit more viable because of all the util set it has, uh, than a cipher. I can be wrong, but I feel overall a killjoy with the considering the ult and the choke points on certain areas of the map is more viable.
Yeah, Killjoy is a lot easier to play guns out on, honestly. Like
Yeah.
compared to the Cypher, you don't have to be watching any of your utility. And
Yeah,
Killjoy is also like a great secondary opper on the team.
yeah.
Like your turret's already placed, you don't have to watch it. So it's you can just
Yeah.
hold angles
Well,
with the
in
stuff.
this map, as we were talking about the other maps, right? We need a smarter player to play a killjoy. In this map, I feel
It's the
it's
other
the
way
other
around.
way around
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, smarter play for Cypher,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you need to constantly be changing your
Yep,
camera,
true,
your
true,
trips,
true. Yep.
your cages, and be aware of where they can be, where they're coming from. So I think in this map it's the opposite. Uh,
Fair enough, yeah.
yeah,
I honestly am really surprised here. I agree with the whole Killjoy thing. Just small point I think I would add on the Killjoy is that it's a non-sova map. That itself I think
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
a
that's
yeah,
one.
plus. Like
Not
there's
much
no
to
utility
take it.
trade,
Yeah.
but I genuinely believe Sage is S tier on Split.
Yeah.
The Killjoy is better than the Cypher, yes, but at the end of the day, like I could imagine like a lot of teams also run it like a non-sentinel composition where you run Sage Sky, Breach and two duelists. Sorry, no, what the fuck am I saying? Sage, Breach, two duelists and Astra, or Sage, Breach, two duelists and Omen, and it becomes this very like attacking sided comp where your bursts are insane, and then on defense, of course, it's more of a mind game thing where like the if the opposition don't have like a Breach or I would say a Breach. Like even a Sky, you can't really burst that easily. Sky, I feel, is more about small control, and then you like domino effect it into the side. But just you just shut down a Breach if they have one with your wall, assuming it's appropriately paced. So I'm gonna bring the discussion there. I think we can agree, like now because of our picks, Killjoy goes automatically S tier. Do you think the Cipher beats the Sage, or like is that a debate? Like what's the deal there?
I think both of them can be played together as well. Like you have
Yeah,
one rope in trip, wall of beheaven,
that's true.
let them contest mid however hard they want, and you can kind of just leave those two together. So I don't know. Like I definitely like see the Sage just for being able to use the slow ops and wall
Yeah.
with a sentinel and raise. Like those synergies are I think a huge pick into the map. So I like love the Sage on this map. And even after like she received nerf after nerf, I think Split
Yeah.
was one of the maps where we still
Yeah.
saw a lot of Sage presence. Like a team still didn't want to give that up. And it's been that way now as well, in my opinion. Like a lot of teams love the Sage.
HellrangeR, what do you think? Like, because I think GE is the one team that stayed very pure with your approach on Split. It's been very similar to when, like, what, 4 or 5 months back when Breach first came into the meta. It's all about really like that combo. So, do you think the stage fits in? Like, what's your opinion?
I see there. I honestly feel there is a place for Sage, but it all depends on how you want to play the game, right? On
It's
the
a trade-off,
Yeah.
honestly.
yeah, it's on the attacking side. If you have a Sage, it's possible or maybe even easier to get control of one part of the map,
Yeah.
especially only the B main area of
Yeah, slow it
uh,
right off the bat
yeah,
and
Yeah.
yeah.
utility like that.
But
Yeah.
you can't get any information beyond that.
Yeah.
Whereas if
Yeah.
you play a Killjoy or if you play a Cypher, You can put pressure on like let's say if you play a cipher, you can put pressure on the A side of the map. You can take B main control, put your camera deep and gather information, or you can put a cage up front at B main and deny
Yep.
information of the opponents, or put a turret at B main up front, and you know if no one is breaking the turret, you can even peek, do a molotov, gather some information, fall back. So you can do all of that and put pressure on the map with the other sentinels, which I don't think you can do with the Sage. But your direct hits, I feel, will be better with the Sage. But again, you don't have someone looking at a flank, so it's a trade-off either way
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
decide to do it.
Yeah, this like
Yeah.
the part about no vision and no information brings me back to like why if you choose the Sage, the Sky goes in well. Like the way
Yeah.
Cloud9 played, right? They wall of A main, and you have the Sky to control mid from B heaven and B main with the flash info. So it's so that's the place that I kind of like on split. And on certain nodes, they switch it up and like force aggression towards mid with the flash and the sewer smoke, and you can kind of like aggress and build setups around that. And that's what I
Mhm.
honestly like about it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Actually, now that you guys have said it, I get the idea. I feel like Sage is more of a complimentary pick. Like
Yeah,
he goes
that's what
well with
that's
somebody else. Yeah, that's what you
yeah.
guys were
The
saying. So
synergy is insanely
makes
good.
sense. Like yeah. So I feel like in this particular map, like, other than the others, like the gap is much closer for the
Mhm.
Sentinels. But hey, it is what it is. Onto controllers. I'm not even going to ask. I think Split is Astra's best map
Yeah.
without a doubt. So I'm just gonna give her the S tier, easy peasy. Of course, you can tell me if you can test that.
No, no, no
Unless if you
contention on
don't,
that.
then
I
A
think
tier
she's pretty
Omen
good, right?
like is Viper a contest here, especially after changes? Like Omen was
Viper
Viper.
as a solo smokes? Not really.
No, not as a solo smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Impossible.
Astra
Smoking rope
Viper
room.
instead of a Sentinel. Like if you would you replace?
Uh,
Okay, that's a good question. Would you replace a Killjoy for an Astra Viper combo?
so Killjoy and Omen for Astro Viper. Like those are the two
Yeah,
trade-offs here.
yeah,
To be honest, like too much utility, I feel. Like you don't have the ability to play aggressive. Like on the
that's
Omen,
true.
like you can still go in for like that solo aggressive play once or twice. And I don't see teams being able to do that on Astra and Viper because of so much utility you die with. If you die early with a Viper, your wall is gone, everything is gone. And with Astra, then running Astra as solo smokes again becomes like where do you use the other utility? Like how much of utility you have saved up previous, like from
Yeah,
not using the smokes. And Viper's solo smokes, the issue is like on split on default, you're gonna have to take mid control, smoke off rope. And with
yeah.
Viper losing that poison cloud that early into the round is not the best of things, to be honest. And to be able to go
I,
and retrieve it all the way down there, it becomes a lot harder. Like that's my opinion. And I'm not
I
even sure if there's
don't
like
think Viper can be
yeah.
played as solo like controller. I'm asking more like I think Astra has to be played on split nowadays, right? So I guess the question more is would you replace the Killjoy for the Astra Viper combo? Because this is knowing that Astra Killjoy itself is a really great combo. It's more like do you prefer double controller or just standard single controller? A single sentinel where the trade-off becomes that I think double controller, as you said, like it just lifts a extra bit of weight off of Astra where she can be much more fruitful with her utility. What do you think, HellrangeR? Is that like ever a trade you can make or is the KJ ult just too good?
You can make that trade again. We did try playing a double controller thing on a particular map, but the thing is, it's really good on defense. It's a tricky thing on offense, where
Yeah.
you are prone
Yeah,
to flanks a lot. You are prone to, I don't know.
Making plays is a lot harder, like
Yeah,
solo plays. You
the,
play a
the,
lot
the
more teammate,
like
I
see,
feel.
maybe with a lot of practice you can do it, but it's a bit of a tricky terrain where you have to play on a different kind of way,
yeah,
even as individuals or as a team. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's a lot more trickier than playing with straight up roles per se in the
yeah,
team.
yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I totally agree. I think that's why like teams like Fnatic or FPX, like obviously Boaster and Angel are instantly the people who come to mind. Even Mystic to a certain extent, but it's because like the way they play their Viper on attack, like they can play very aggressively with their setups. Or what I particularly like is when they play Lurk. it's absolutely insane. With the Viper, I
Yeah.
think the amount of information denial you can do, but it's exactly as you said. It's so hard to like execute it first individually, then as a team. So yeah, I totally get that. So I think
Yeah,
Omen
but
can
Viper
easily go
is
in.
Viper is totally in a spot to replace the Sentinel though. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people have been for that conversation. Like on Icebox, a lot of teams love
Yeah.
dropping the Killjoy Cypher for the Viper. Like T1 does it.
Mm-hmm.
In India, like Enigma Gaming have been doing it a lot. Mahi started it with Amiterasu picking it up,
Mm-hmm.
but like the Viper pick especially, and then Enigma have
I
been doing
think
it recently
with
on
TM we saw like a perfect example of like even if say an individual is comfortable on it, if the team is not
yeah.
comfortable, like
Hmm.
stuff like that. So maybe we
You
see
still
a
have to,
comeback, but hey,
yeah. The lack of refreshing ability is still what
yeah,
kind of demotivates people from picking her up, in my opinion.
yeah.
And
At least
earlier
it's
people
in the
didn't respect
discussion.
it. And earlier people just didn't respect Viper utility. Now you're kind of in a position to be forced to respect it. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That's what I was mentioning. This is the best time for meta wise because literally
yeah.
everything is playable.
All right. So initiators wise, I think it's this is the easiest. Like Breach Sky Sova, any like
Breach.
I
anything changes there, or from
I think
top to bottom.
Oh, Breach, Skies. I think yeah, pretty much.
I think Sky is a little bit better than Breach. In
Really?
my person, yeah, because one I kind of
You're
like
only
the
kidding.
so so the reason I kind of prefer like the sky on the sky on this map is because one, we're used to playing No Sova Split for a long while, right? And the
Yeah,
fact that you have the drone kind of like early vision example is like a huge plus for me.
that's true.
Yeah, I also love the fact that okay, so Sky overall kind of White Trump's breach is the kit is a lot cheaper.
Uh huh.
You don't and like it's a lot safer to use in my opinion. Like you don't have to be necessarily peaking an angle to be able to flash it. It doesn't have to be in your LOS. Like Sky, you can curve the bird anywhere, and that's a lot more information based. But the huge issue with that comes in is that there's that partial blind and full blind argument.
Yeah.
Against the breach, you know that if they're facing the flash, they're completely blind. But with Sky, there's a dead zone. Like you can hear the bird like coming in, so you can turn, play anti-flash. There's huge timings and fake flashing, and a little bit more you can do with Sky flashes than you can do with breach flashes, and that's one reason I've kind of leaned in towards her.
Well, I'll tell you what happens. See, in theory, you're right. We are used
Yeah,
to not playing the without SOA
yeah,
map for too long, and you have that wolf. But I'll tell you what happens when we are actually playing that map, right? We have played against both kinds of team, the ones who play Breach and the ones who play Sky. The problem with the ones who play Sky is if they flash, either they assume people are flash or if people pick the
mhm.
flash, but you don't have the ability to, flash, 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 enter the site. So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
Chaining
say,
flash is a
Burst.
lot
yeah,
harder.
yeah. So it's almost impossible. If
Hmm.
to chain flashes and to enter at the same site time,
Yeah, a lot
it's
harder.
it's much harder than it is with a breach,
True, true.
right? So in that sense, while you're attacking, you're automatically forced to be slow. You
Hmm.
Yeah.
cannot have a fast paced attack. Or if
Yeah,
you have a fast paced attack, it it is certainly not reliant on flashes.
true.
Right.
Yeah.
And if people are holding sites properly, then you can get,
Punished
destroyed with
badly
it.
for that.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So
The way, yeah.
that is
So,
why it does not, like, for me, even in the opponents or even in the practice games we had, the people playing Sky did not bother us as much the pain in the ass breach flashes are.
yeah. Breach, the one huge advantage breach is like the anti-operator utility on the concuss.
Yeah, and
Concuss.
also the alt. I
Yeah,
feel
the
it's
the
much
alt is
more
S
valuable
tier,
than.
S tier on all maps. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like I don't
Uh,
know, but with playing with I think C and I had this conversation. It's like playing hard retake with Sky on the Sky alt
yes.
is much harder than
Yeah.
playing hard retake on the Breach alt. Like on the Breach alt, there's pretty much no counter except like knowing, hey, they're gonna alt this, let's get out of there.
Yeah,
Sky Wolf, if the Sky util is going in front of one person, the same guy can just break all of your alt, and now you
yeah,
will, yeah, now you're at a loss of information again. So it's really interesting to see what happens. But on defense, it's a great comp, right? Because
Yeah.
Sage Wall A, slow it, don't let them give access, flash mid, flash B main, get info. You're on top of the information gain. But on the attack, like taking mid becomes like the crucial part, and you cannot just like go in for the burst execute, as you mentioned earlier.
yeah.
I think it's really cool discussion because I agree with the HellrangeR. The burst potential for Breach is too good, and I think the foundation for that argument comes when you go all the way back to right before Breach was buffed, and like Split was the hot map of discussion. Like it's what Icebox was today. Like it needs changes, it needs this, it needs that, and I believe the meta, like for a moment, like a tiny vacuum was double Sentinel on Split, like with the Sage and another Sentinel,
Yeah.
and you would just hard stack defense and then attack. You would play purely for duels, and then the Breach came into the meta even before he got buffed, and then he got buffed, and that's end of story. Like you cannot
Yeah.
remove
I think
Breach
I
anymore.
think Split was one of the best maps of Breach since a long time.
Yep.
Like a lot of people preferred how long range's utility is and stuff. Like
Yeah, but
people love
before
that
he
part.
got buffed, I feel like there was a point where people would actively run, like say Cypher for example, back then,
Yeah,
to try and just deny him the burst because that's his strongest part. But yeah, I just think that like in Split, like if I would like, I really like this guy. I think she has a lot of potential for teams who can execute her. Vision Strikers, I keep going back to them, but they're a very good example of they were like the biggest Breach fan team ever. They played Breach
yeah,
everywhere, but
everywhere.
they
Yeah,
voluntarily switched to Sky, even on Split, and they showed how you can do it, but it's so fucking hard. Like you have to do point by point, you have to take Vents control, and then you have to play around that. Your
yeah,
entire team has to be super disciplined, not a single aspect can fall off. So I totally get the concept. Like of
yeah.
course it's
You
like
bombard,
it's
you bombard mailroom, Skywolf rope. You keep switching it up.
yeah,
And you're forced to fight deep into mid, and that's kind of like
yeah,
sometimes can be a negative point for the team.
all right,
But and in that, like lurker presence becomes really, really important because if you're not showing great lurk presence, teams are just going to push up, take aggressive control, and going to force you to challenge when you hit the sides later on. If you're going for a little bit of a slower execute, like there can be one guy who's aggressive and is giving constantly relaying a lot more information to his team. So it's a lot important to be able to lurk very well on this map.
yeah, absolutely. Like I think that's perfect for Split.
Yeah.
I am really surprised. I will say honestly to all the viewers and you guys there that we've had such extensive discussions because I was when I came into it I was more expecting like how do I say this? Everyone would agree. I prefer this as the like you know like I think the more contentious it is, the more points we clear up. But at the same time, I have a little bit delayed, so we will go through to Ascent. And I think this map is so weird in my opinion because
Yeah.
I feel
It's
like
the
it's one of
widest, I think.
exactly like I feel like
Yeah.
it should be the simplest map with respect to how you look at it, but at the same time there's so much stuff you can do because of the recent meta where my discussion instantly goes back to here S tier Jet, is it even a question like or can we imagine teams like removing her from that perch? Like, say Phoenix, I've seen a lot of people pull off. Like, can he be S tier?
Phoenix, I think a lot of people like on this map is because like the short corners. That means the flash is perfect
Yeah,
to clear out those corners. You can just pop that. It's the 6 point alt, run it back, gives in great
yeah,
information, and denying pockets of map control is so much easier. So a lot of teams like to do that. For example, like we saw Scream like just throwing out mollies. Even you put in the Ascent A main one way smoke and put in a molly under that, and you contest hard map control with that.
yeah. Like that's where like the combo is like. I remember skills pulling off that combo. Like a lot of people do it now. Also, like I also think it's the alt top control. Like HellrangeR, what do you think? As like a player who plays Phoenix, do you think he could ever like contest Jet? Like this map is known as Jet's playground. So
I think like if you're playing a single duelist comp, all the teams are moving towards the race
okay.
because like any team you see who's playing a single duelist comp and Ascent has the race, they don't play the Jet or the Phoenix or anything else. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are not playing a single duelist comp, then I don't think anyone's gonna ever take away the Jet from this map, and it'll either be a Phoenix or a Reyna depending on what the team wants to pick,
Yeah.
and maybe a Yoru, you never know. But I think if you are playing a single Luis comp, then a Raze, and if you are not, then it has to be Jet plus a Phoenix or a Reyna,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
So that's very interesting. And I'm gonna quickly ask you, like, where do you think, how do you think that fits? Because, like VS again, for example, I instantly go my mind to them. They run the race with single duelists, but they run it with Sova Sky. And if you're running Breach on Ascent, then you like, can you make that Breach race work, or do you go double controller with a single duelist? I guess the question here is, if you're running single duelist race, what do you see? Double initiator, double controller, double sentinel? Like, where does that lie?
If I'm running the race, I'm going with the Sage as well then. I'm going
Okay.
race, Sage, Sova, Omen, Cypher,
Yeah.
Killjoy, whatever you want. I think
Like
that's my.
I either go a double duelist, oh sorry, a double sentinel or a double initiator. I don't think I'd go a double controller at any given point. I don't know. I just feel I don't feel like it. Because if you have the sage, you have a wall to fill up the gap.
Yeah.
Or I'd rather play a cipher and use his cages than using two controllers. Because I feel having a SOA and a Sky or a Breach and a SOA gives you a lot more stuff to do than, let's say having an Astra or an Omen does. Right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like a lot more options in general for
Yeah.
the team. Yeah,
Like that is
that
my
makes a lot of
personal,
sense.
like I personally feel that is the case because like even if you have the Omen and the Astra, maybe you can use the Astra to get control. I can say that, but then again, the Omen becomes kind of null and void while the time you're doing your defaults. And if you are taking the Astra as the single or sole, controller, it can still be done, and you have a lot more util to, fight with it or enter into the site with or take map control with. So you can use the like let's say you have the breach flashes or you have the sky flashes, the sky wolf and the SOA util to take control of parts of the map, which you would which you use in place of the Astra's, let's say, wormhole or the stun if you are playing a double controller comp, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have multiple smokes available on the Astra itself because you have a sky and a soul for the
Yeah.
actual execution.
Yeah, it makes, I think, like the entire like team structure on both sides. It's not just like a. It's better on attack on defense on both sides. It's just a lot easier, which makes sense. Which is why, like for me, whenever I think double controller, the only thing I actually like is something with the Viper because I feel
Yeah,
like she's not exactly a controller, and then
yeah.
like they both get some value. But I don't think that's happening on Ascent. But actually, since we're on controllers, we'll go to controllers first and then come back to Sentinels because I think there's only one argument here, which is I think this is the only map, besides Icebox, of course, where Omen might be better than Astra. Like, what do you guys think? Forgetting the insane buff that is coming in the moment, like, do you think it's still Astra all the way, or like can Omen contest?
I think no one can contest it because of long corridors where you can use the Omen
Yeah.
flash
Fair
to
enough.
enter the site, and
Even the
also
ult.
yeah, even the ult
Huge.
to yeah, even the ult yeah to get into spaces which are free or just even as a distraction while your teammates are entering the
Hmm.
site, it's a huge plus. Um, but again, it's it's hard. I'd say it's 50-50 maybe at this point. I'm still not gonna brush aside the Astra. It's still
Yeah.
really, really good to take
Yeah.
control of different parts of the map. Right, especially if you're playing if I'm playing a single duelist comp, I'd go with an Astra. If I'm playing a double duelist comp, maybe I'll go with an Omen. So
Hmm.
that is what I'm gonna go with.
I think after the buff, it's not a question anymore. You're like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
well
just too
after the
good. It's
buff
too
I'm
good.
gonna go Astra all the day, any day.
Yeah. Like especially when you think like A site is so hard to like retake in general across the world, like
Yeah. No,
something
well,
that pulls
it's a
you out of
funny
defense.
it's a funny thing, right? If I have, let's say, if I do an all-out A rush with all my utility and I get the bomb planted and I have three of my stars left, I just fucking put them on the spike
Yeah.
Yeah,
while
you
they
time
tap
it.
it,
Yeah.
open it one by one, and imagine a world where you have your
Oh.
Sova shock darts or ult to go along with it. You
Oh.
don't even need to be on the side. You
Even
guys can
Killjoy
be chilling
mollies
at
if you have
spawn.
those.
Yeah.
Even Killjoy mollies. Like if
Yeah,
they're not able to break those, So
Yeah, well,
that's
just put an alarm board on a Molotov. So the first refuse you tab, it's a Molotov. Then you have 3 stars. It's a funny thing. I don't know. I just feel it's if they do that, it's gonna be overpowered.
I really hope that all the news agencies got it wrong, because yeah, it's So yeah, I don't think there's anything to discuss even about it. So we'll just leave that and pray. But that was a simple thing for the control. I think Viper is better than Brim. She's I've seen
yeah.
some teams use her, and she has a decent bit of lineups. Plus the pit can be decent. So I'll put her over there. But Sentinels, this is where again same debate, but in a different way. Because I actually don't think the range is as much of an issue for Killjoy on Ascent, because of the way you can alarm bot made and hold uh, is that B
A
side?
shot, cat.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, A shot. I feel like you can do that, but that's a bit more like capped as compared to like a B hold, where you're getting like the either if you want to play her on CT or you want to play the toaster setup, you're getting what you want with the
Yeah.
alarm bot mid. So I think she's more viable, but I prefer the Cypher purely because of the attacking area. I don't think like Killjoy is easy to look with on Scent. Like, what do you guys think?
I'm a little bit on the Killjoy side this time for this map.
Okay.
I'm also a bit on the Killjoy side because I think like it's still it's a toss up, but I still feel if you're running the Astra, I think playing it with
That's
the
true.
Killjoy makes it more
That's
viable. Yeah,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
you don't need to put a lot of manpower to contest. Like if you have the Astra and let's say you put a black hole on A main, you just need maybe one guy to contest it, and you can contest B with the Killjoy turret and the Molotov,
Yeah.
and you can have the other 3 guys contesting mid, like just as a normal standard default,
Uh huh.
and you can do a lot of stuff with it. But even if not so for the Astra, you can still contest a lot with the Killjoy, right? Even on the defensive side. So the problem with majority of the players I feel in India who play the Killjoy is that they'll sit on the side. They'll put everything and just sit. No, that's not the way you're supposed to play Killjoy. You're not supposed to let them take B-main control for free. Use your
Yeah.
Molotov at the entrance. Put a turret there. Put your Opper behind the turret. Make them work for that fucking control rather than just sitting on the side. With the Cypher, I understand you sitting on the side or playing on retreat because you have that cam to get that info.
Yeah.
You have the case to reposition yourself. You have those tripwires to hit when they come in. But once you open the Killjoy Molotovs, and if you don't make use of them, it's done.
Yeah.
There's nothing there to help you, right? So I feel people play it wrong when they just put the setup and sit in the side. I feel there's a lot more. I'm not saying it's wrong all the time. I'm not certainly saying you need to be butthurt and just keep rushing B-main
Yeah.
all the time. But if you can get that control for free, or if you can make your opponents use your utility by just using one of your Molotovs at the start of the round, then why not do that? Right? Why just sit
Yeah.
in the side and let them walk in, or take it with just one flash where they have to use maybe a drone and a flash and some more utility to clear it out. So
I
that is
think
where I feel most of the players played wrong here. But if you see the players playing abroad, they don't give it for
yeah.
free.
Yeah.
Be them playing A main or them playing B main, it's a different thing.
I think
Yeah.
like Rex and I had a discussion around First Strike, if you remember, like about how Steel was playing the Killjoy. Like it was exactly how you were saying. Like the aggressive sort of utility
Yeah.
usage on defense
I
is not
think
something we see a lot.
I think Seal is one of the smartest Valorant players out there. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't. I don't know. Like he's one of the most hated personalities given his CS:GO background and stuff like that. But I think he's the smartest person out there. Like even in Valorant,
yeah, for
that
sure. I feel I Bandit is the one team I follow a lot because of
yeah,
Steel, Hiko, Nitro.
yeah, all really experienced players. Honestly,
Yeah,
like that's the
and they
Yeah.
were really smart in CS as well.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's
So
true.
so it
Ethan
is
was like,
bound to translate.
yeah, Ethan was like I think the people who followed CS probably knew how good Ethan was
Yeah.
and didn't know what kind of person was actually switching to Valo. So it's just scary when he
Yeah,
joined
I
the
was
team.
on the other side of the boat. I was like, why are you guys doing this? Then I got to see him play. And the synergy, more than anything, for between them is insane. Like the way he's able to fit into the team. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
was watching stream today. I was watching stream today. I was talking about the mistakes. like when they ran single duelist, right? He was telling us that even though we run the stage on all maps because we now have Ethan, right? They said that he said even though we're running single duelist, our duelist needs to realize that he's not the only one who needs to create the space of the team, and he's
Yeah,
not bad or like stupid if he's not creating enough space. And the rest of the util heavy agents like the Sage, Sova, Omen need to realize that their utility is not worth not dying for. Like he said that if, for example, if they pressure out A site or something, right, and they want to rotate to B, he said that instead of putting up like a proper execute with like smokes, flashes, recon, and all, and sage lineups, he said that we would rather just decide one important smoke for the map. Like let's say on Ascent, they said we would have a spawn smoke, and we would have just commit 3 bodies to it and just take it out gunfight wise, instead of forcing our duelist to be the only one taking gunfights while the rest of us do dumb shit and not help the guy there. So
yeah,
I think like stuff like that, that they switched over from Masters 1 to Masters 2, like what we're seeing them doing currently, there's a huge difference in the playstyle and huge
yeah.
complete 180 for, if you could potentially say.
Yeah, it's like the game, not just like the way they play it, but the way they think about it is evolving, and it's nice to see, honestly.
Yeah,
It's just a
Because it
different
makes sense.
approach.
Yeah, it makes sense because mm, if you are too worried about using your utility and dying, there's just one
Mm,
duelist
yeah,
to, you know,
yeah, that's right.
enter the site per se. So you need
Yeah,
to be able to sacrifice your like play it kind of like CS in a way where
yeah,
you'll
play
not be
concert
the
and
yeah
yeah,
yeah you'll not
yeah,
be the guy afraid to trade him out. I'd say like in my opinion, I still think the controller still needs to be the one
mm.
person who needs to stay alive the longest.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the other guys can still, it's still okay if you don't have a recon, but you know where the guy is and he's alone. It's still okay to go in and or if
yeah,
you're the sentinel, it's still okay to go in and die
yeah.
as long as your teammates know, okay, their flank is not secure, this
yeah,
not that. But I think the only player I feel who needs to stay alive is the controller. But apart from that, I think anyone can be the second or the
yeah.
third guy entering in and not be afraid to die.
Yeah. In this example, he said that we can like substitute utility. Like even if you don't have both the smokes, they would need the area. For example, on Ascent, he said if
Yeah,
we've pressured A early, if we come into B late, right, we'll just smoke spawn. We'll nade market if the nade is available, and and given what they've done at A site, if they've done their job at A site well, they don't. They don't need a god recon. They don't need a drone because you're roughly going to know that there's going to be someone market or CT.
yeah.
Given the change in positions, you're going to rotate that extra man over, and if the hit is not committed in, so they kind of roughly know where everyone is playing, and they just play on basis of that, play guns out, and trade each other out on the 3 man or whatever burst they're coming out with.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like the idea of sort of the filler concept that Hellranger talked
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
essentially,
yeah, true.
and the fact that like the teams are already striving to change it is really really cool. So yeah, I just want to see more, like more of this evolution
Hmm.
in Indian teams itself, and we'll see if we're able to see that. For initiators, I think Sova again.
I think Bhavin wants to say something. I think.
Oh, go on.
I mean, what you're saying all is right, and it happens outside India.
Yeah,
The teams
yeah.
It was
work
really
where
interesting. I tuned into stream today, and it really, really made a lot of sense. Like, yeah,
yeah, no,
you
what
do
you're
it in
saying,
CS.
like so we try to do that in theory, right? But
Uh-huh.
there are some teams which will still have two players on the other side, just
Yeah,
staying there,
yeah.
just staying put. And it frustrates you a lot as a player. You like you
This
put
is not
all
the way to
that
play the
thought
game.
process on, faking the other side, creating space there
Yeah.
so that you have one guy here and you can enter, and they just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
I
so
feel you. I feel you. Your opponents have to know how to play the game for you to play the game the right way
yeah,
against them.
yeah.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's a fair enough argument. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It's very true. Like it's something to laugh about, yeah, but it's very, very, very true.
Well,
Cause
see, I
like
have right now we have two switches, right? Against teams we know who are not gonna give a fuck. We also don't give a fuck. We're like, let's go.
nice.
Right? Against teams we know who are gonna give a fuck, we'll be like, okay, we can try something on the map. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
play
against
the
teams
game.
we know are not gonna, like we had this team, I'm not gonna name them, but they were playing 4-1 all the time, right? Four
Oh,
guys
I
on one
think
side of the map and one guy on other side of the map. So even after us pressuring the one guy into going on the extremity of his site, right? The four guys did not rotate, and we go back and we see there are four guys still there, and that pissed me off. I'm like, how the fuck can you do that? We send your guy to a place where he has no information, where he should be literally pissed, shit scared that they can enter the site anytime, and you still don't call for a rotate. And
Yeah.
it's not like they had an elaborate retake plan or whatnot. So after that, I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not even gonna bother thinking anything against, such teams. You see one guy, you rush, you kill. That's it. You don't think. Just put off your brains. Just don't think and keep doing it. That's
Yeah, you just beat them on aim. Just be like, fuck it.
yeah,
Like, fuck
yeah.
you. I mean, I get it. I don't think. Shivi says he knows the exact team. I don't think I know the exact team, but I can definitely
Uh,
imagine off the bat at least three teams.
I know what like there's a couple of teams.
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I'm
So
gonna watch
there's.
each and every ward to date in Indian Valorant just to find out just the
Well, you
teams.
can you can just watch against my team, so you'll know which team I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I'll have to just do that,
I have a
and
feeling
scrutinize which
this
team.
particular example might have come from ESPL. I don't know. I have a bad memory. I'm not going to go on that further because I don't think like any of us want to name teams. But hey,
My
Okay,
lips are sealed here.
yeah. I think like we could convince you to reveal it, but then again, like we don't want the team to
It's
feel
alright.
bad
It's
too,
alright.
right? So hey, that
I
was
just
a
need to know how
set.
much Paytm it costs to know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like 500 rupees Paytm and we get the instant answer.
Wait, so Shivi said something in chat. He said just watch last EC. So interesting. I think I have a slight idea. I had an idea beforehand as well, but I'm not gonna say anything ahead as well. So it's
Watch
alright.
last TCG played. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it is
is
what I
it?
think it is.
I
Is
I
it
think
a
am not
team that is
I am not
representing?
confirming or denying any allegations here. So you can watch all the matches we have played in the last year and decide for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I, I think I'm starting to get an idea because there was one series that I did not watch, and there was one series where G dropped a map, and then watched the series later, and it did look like that switch on, switch off thing. Like you guys were saying, like when you lost the map, you're just like, fuck this, you're just so angry, and you just went switch off, and I can't say
I
this
think
in
I
English.
messaged you
Like
something.
pale diye, I think is the perfect way to say. But hey, we will have Rexdreams investigate, guys. In a few
I
days,
think
we'll
I
have like
messaged
a.
the name. I think I messaged the name. That's what I think it is. And I messaged. Wait, I'll message you as well.
Okay. All right. While we
You
get
message
the
me or you
masala.
message
Yeah. Wait. Who did you message and where? And
I
while we
messaged
get the
both of you guys on
masala.
Discord. I messaged both of you guys on Discord.
Discord? Okay.
No, really?
That's what I thought. Like I've seen certain glimpses of that.
Wait. HellrangeR was talking about Ascent, right?
No, I'm not talking about Ascent. I'm talking about all the maps
Oh,
we
okay.
played.
Yeah,
Then
yeah. So yeah,
yeah. Then
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I was right. Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
We'll
So
get
that,
a full
yeah, I've
confirmation
seen that
later.
gameplay. Yep, yep. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
that's
delete the
funny.
messages to leave no proof right now.
Nice. That's why you sent on Discord. Nice.
Yeah, that's a on Discord. So I can
Smart.
delete these.
All right. Since we are on, like, even though people don't know it, we were talking about Icebox in the DMs. We'll go on to Icebox for our last map here and just get the tier list through. Start us off again, tier list. And this is where I think I'm going to be the most contentious. So I'm not going to make a statement, unlike the others. I'm just going to ask a question. S tier
It's
duelist.
hard. Rena,
Get
Ray,
Reina.
Jet. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's one of the
Yeah.
three.
Okay,
Again, with
okay.
a single duelist thing, I think a raise or without a sentinel, people are starting to play a raise a lot on this map.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think Phoenix. Yeah, I don't think Phoenix is a space because
I
large map.
hate Phoenix.
Alt is too
Yeah.
small to contest,
It's
etc.
almost like non-valuable. The ult
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
everything, right? On this.
Honestly, yeah, the Reina flashes with long range, you can contest map control with that. Like I think this is one thing I like about playing Reina on this map. Jet cause too many drafty angles, a great map for
Yeah.
Oppers.
Op,
Oppers are
yeah.
gonna love playing this map. So Jet becomes the one like obvious pick there. Raze is seeing a lot of love recently
It's
on
like
this map.
baby
No,
Jet.
no, no. Yeah, Jet. I think Jet, Raze, Reyna, and then the
Yeah.
Phoenix, and then
I was
Video.
gonna suggest, so instead of the way we did the tier list, how about we just decide top two for every map, and we don't have to differentiate top two, because I do think Icebox is the one map where it's still hard for me to decide on a S tier meta composition. Like every other map, we can settle, I think, comfortably on at least this, and we can be like, it might be a debate, but it's probably this. I feel like Icebox, it's whatever comp you play, like you play Sage KJ or you play Viper, even if you bring for some reason Astra, even though as HellrangeR said, I think Icebox is her worst map. You can play her if you want with Viper, but again, there's so many different compositions. It's gonna be hard for the tier list, so we'll just go top two. Jet Raze top two or Jet Reyna top two for tier list? What do you guys think? Raze versus Reyna.
Mm, kind of the Reyna for me at least.
Right? You can
I'm
also
gonna
go Raze Reyna if you want, if you don't
I'm
want the
gonna say
Jet.
Raze Reyna.
Raze
Okay.
Reyna. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, SK Rossi's gonna get benched, guys. No, kidding.
HellrangeR Pug Reyna. Let's go.
I
And
am going to be the pure duelist in the team from now on.
Alright, let's go. Yoru HellrangeR incoming. Because
Oh
Phoenix
yeah.
not possible. Yeah, let's go. Oh, that would be funny. But okay. I actually want to go raise Reina myself. I think that's what I was saying. Is the contentious aspect of my opinion. I know the op feels really good on Icebox, but I feel like it's because people are still not used to the angles and they don't know how to shut the op down. Like it's just a matter of getting used to
I think
where.
people have gotten used to
Yeah, slowly. Yeah.
right now. Yeah, yeah. Slowly,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
initially, people were dumbfounded from the amount of angles you could get hit from.
Yeah.
But right now, people are aware. Like they are
Exactly.
self-aware. They know, what needs to be done needs to be done. So right now, I think it's still a lot more better in that sense.
Yeah.
But
I think Raze is S tier. Shivi just said it. Raze every map except Haven.
Raze Reyna is Haven. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair
Reina
enough.
is when skills is on God mode, for example, where he's just like, I'm going, I'm killing, I don't give a fuck. I've seen this, I think, a month back, especially. I remember, I think it was semifinals of
I think yeah, one of the
TC.
earliest G comps had Reyna in it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
On
it was
Icebox.
skills
Yeah.
on Reina,
Before you
we
guys
were
standard
just
dropped
count.
it.
playing without the Sage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we
So
But now
saw people
skills is
started
in this.
fucking us with the Sage, so we started
Yeah.
playing the Sage.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think like Siege is way too S tier on Icebox to give up.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting the
for sure.
spike down without Sage, no matter what you try to do. You're
Uh-huh.
gonna get spammed down to your death. It's
So
insanely good. Yeah, and Jet. I think the reason I like the Jet with the Raze on this map is because like if you have an Oppo who can demolish and
yeah,
loves freedom, I think Xbox is the map to be able to exploit the freedom. Like on A side, you can pick from so many angles, like that E-box generator, whatever you call that, on like from the side, from getting onto pipes, early shot. Like it keeps your opponents guessing, but
yeah.
it's counterable, but it forces them to dump utility like a lot more onto you. So it's just like where do you want to go, and raise nades and stuff like it can come in huge, and utility can come in huge as well, but just how the teams like to play.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like the entry frag SK Rossi thing that I was talking about earlier was from Icebox. Literally with the op, the guy walked through a smoke cleared
Yeah.
A side by himself. I was casting that, I think. I straight up lost all of my shit. I'm
Yeah,
like,
even like yeah,
that's
that's
illegal. Like you're not allowed to. It's what you
yeah.
said, Rexdreams. Like the freedom,
Yeah,
really.
I
Yeah.
called it.
And even
No, but
As
no, but
always.
no,
and
no, no
moving
joke.
away
I
from
didn't even know that he is in there, and I that was one. So I'll tell you we lost a round I think before that, and we were all like pissed on how we lost that round. So I
Uh-huh.
was like, okay, but like this round we were like, okay, let's just do a simple A hit, and then before I call the hit, I see 1, 2, 3. I'm like, eh? I'm like, okay, let's go. We have the side, guys. Let's just go
yeah,
in.
but even like talking about other jet hoppers, even Anti had a really great
Yeah.
jet ace on
Yeah.
this map when they used the Viper ult B early, deny B at
Yeah.
all, and then Anti just kept on getting free kills after
Yeah.
kills, switching up angles and stuff. So I think that's one great example of why Oppers relish on Icebox. That's one reason I don't find like I prefer the jet a lot more than the race.
Yeah, it's like we had this on Bind, I believe, yeah, Jet with the flash, the asterisk. So I'd say normally raise Reina, but if you have like a great and like insane Opper who just is really confident, then of course like the Jet then is like way above the Rays and Reina in that discussion in that regard. I think, especially because of how like useful the Blade Storm can be, but that's a different discussion altogether. Sentinels is the easiest one here. I think it's just Sage KJ, right? Like
Killjoy,
is Cipher
Sage,
Sage
even?
Killjoy,
and
both.
KJ. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no Cipher,
Watching
no chance.
flanks, watching flanks is like a lot easier on this map. Just it
Yeah,
can be done with just one turret. Like if you don't do it, and Killjoy ult is insanely powerful. You can put Killjoy mollies behind objects, on objects to deny plants and stuff. So just an S tier pick for me overall.
okay, so controllers is where I feel like is the biggest question mark for me. And it's only because, so I'm going to ask you guys to assume that the change for Astra, which is the pull off the spike change, is going to come through. And then I'm going to ask you, Omen, Viper, Astra. I normally, without the change, I'd say Omen, Viper are better than Astra on
Yeah.
Icebox, but with the change, does Astra replace either or of Omen or Viper?
I don't know. I just do think that like Astra in that situation is just one small thing that impacts it, but you can do the same thing with the Viper as well, right? You still
Yeah,
have lineups for
that's
it.
true.
You still have lineups with the default spike plant positions or diffuse positions and the post plant lineups. So it's just one of the two other things, right? And with
Yeah,
an Astra, right, in no situation I believe that if you efficiently use your stars, are you going to have more than 2 stars on the spike?
yeah,
That's just how I think. Like so in two mollies, if you have them for post plant compared to having 2 stars, it's more or less the same thing. While the mollies are just have a slight bigger advantage.
Also, I feel with the Astra, the smoke radius is smaller
Yeah,
as compared to the
to
Omen. So on the
Omen
B side, that will be a problem because
hmm
if you are either to smoke the first floor or the like
cross
the
for
cross,
the yeah
both the smokes will have a certain gap, and a good opper or a good player will try to
will
exploit
punish.
those
True.
gaps and
yeah,
punish with a kill or two off. So I think that is why it gets a bit tricky. But I've seen a few teams playing Astra on that map still. But
yeah,
even though we don't play it, I feel Viper is one of the strongest
yeah,
agents on that map. And if I were to pick an S tier, I'd give it to the Viper, followed by the Omen,
Hmm.
then
yeah.
followed by the
Yeah,
Astra.
fair enough.
Especially after the changes, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Like, I think Viper is
Yeah,
just the best controller now. But those teams that you were talking about running Astra, it's with the Viper, if I've seen correctly. And it's more like she becomes not a controller, more like an on attack, she becomes like an initiator, and on defense, she becomes a sentinel. She's like, they rarely actually use the smoke and just try to feed her ult points as much as possible on attack to get the ulti through, because then like obviously the setup is much more simpler. But yeah, I agree. I think the way the comfort of Omen and then the strength of Viper, even with the change, I think it's hard to just like stop. So
yeah,
for now we'll go with those. Maybe we'll see a team upsetting the flow, but initiators wise, again, like this, and this is perfect for me to say this, Sova is the best agent in the game. Like that's like
yeah,
just what I think. There's no changing that. I think he's one of the few agents who hasn't had many nerfs, or like he's the most like balanced agent in the
Yeah,
game.
he hasn't had a lot of nerves or buffs for that matter.
Yeah,
yeah. He's just been like good from the get go.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
Actually, at the start, if you remember, not a lot of teams played Sova at all. They thought he was garbage.
yeah,
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
after that, after they started, I think Shroud was one of the early players, not a professional player, but one of the ones who said people don't understand the use of Sova till now. And once they
yeah,
do, and once they learn the lineups and everything, they're going to use it a lot. And I
uh-huh.
think a month or two after that, I like it blew up. Like almost everyone was playing Sova on all.
yeah.
Yeah,
Split was been play so was also playing on Split. Like Scar used to play
yeah.
so on Split like for a little bit, like not much.
I don't like
Very
split
close to that
was
when he
because there are
wasn't.
so many nooks and crannies, right? You can never get a
Yeah,
proper recon off.
you
I
can.
feel.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I don't know, for
Uh,
Icebox, I think is the worst Sky map. Like in my opinion, like I just don't see reason to play Sky on
so you
this map.
prefer Breach over Sky on Icebox?
Yeah, yeah,
Alright.
any day.
I prefer neither. I don't like.
I mean,
I,
if you were to choose any of the two, and
yeah,
given
since we
in a
have to
map
pick
where
one.
we have like most teams opt in for, like the double sentinel with Sage and Killjoy, you are dropping the second initiator. The second initiator does lose its spot, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to pick between the breach or sky, if you put a gun to my head, I would prefer the breach over the sky.
Yeah.
The map's just too big to be able to cover with sky utility, in my opinion.
HellrangeR doesn't like either. I totally get it. I don't think there's any replacing the
Yeah.
Sova. I don't think
I
there's any room for double initiator in this map.
No, not at all, actually.
So like yeah, Sky and Breach is not possible. I will say again, like yeah, I'm a Vision Strikers fanboy, guys. I'm sorry, but they run Sova Sky and they do it pretty well. But that's at the expense of a Sage, and like again the discussion. It's so freaking difficult to do like not just plant but so many different things without the Sage that like yeah it's like okay maybe if you're a god tier team you can do it but in general it's just not worth. So we'll leave it at that. I think I agree with Sova Breach. I think HellrangeR, given his dislike for Sky, I would probably agree with Sova Breach. Like what would you say?
I don't feel there is a place for any, to be honest. But
Yeah,
Okay.
if I were to, like, if I were to, then it's still no. I can
Yeah.
put anything. I
if
don't
there was a
care.
gun to your head,
Yeah,
if there was a
I,
gun to your
I
head,
wouldn't
it's
care. I choose anything.
Yeah,
I,
it's
I,
the same, I guess. In that it's
yeah,
equally bad. Yeah, fair
yeah.
enough. Sky greater than Beach and Icebox, not the KJ. Alright, no. So we will have like we're way off time limit, but because we love you guys.
I, I,
Uh
all, I, I anyways expected it to like when you told me
Yeah,
right that Sami has a match and in
yeah.
an hour. I'm like, okay, I don't think we're gonna go beyond 2 or maximum 3 maps in an hour. I
yeah,
already
Oh,
knew that. I was like,
okay.
because the last time we all talked, uh,
yeah.
like I
Yeah.
think we took like we went into in depth on everything. So I knew if
Everything.
that
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's true.
I knew if that's
yeah.
gonna happen again, then there's no way we are gonna be able to cover
True,
like five
true,
maps
true,
in an
true.
hour.
Yeah.
I'm learning, guys. I will structure it better next time. But honestly, I didn't expect it because I thought like the discussions on Haven and the discussions on Ascent would be way less contentious. But I like that they were because for me at least it opens up like less than like the meta, more like the perspective of like a lot of people they in my analysis streams they ask me why don't Indian teams do this, why don't Indian teams do that, why can't they just do this like how like top EU teams do and they'll win. And I think for me the main motivation behind this whole thing was to tell you guys it's way simpler. I'm gonna let HellrangeR continue over this particular point as soon as I finish, but it's way simpler to theory craft than to execute.
Yeah, then yeah.
क्या बोलूं बाहर बाहर बैठ के डम डम बजाना बहुत आसान है या अंदर बैठ के ढिंढोरा पीटना बहुत मुश्किल.
True.
Yeah.
So it's much easier said than done, guys. Because
And I think like honestly, this 2.5 hour war is gonna like 2.5 or however long it lasts is gonna like answer literally each and every question that you've received about maps to date.
Go tell your
Because
favorite pro teams.
मार रहे एम पे.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean honestly like almost everything is covered on this. Yeah.
Alright.
So I think
So
everyone just loves the single duelist opted with Sova, Sova,
Sky.
Smokes, Omen, and KJ and Sage for this map. I don't think any of us have a different point of view.
No. Yeah. So Icebox was surprisingly the least contentious.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the
Uh,
meta is the most stale on this map out of all of the maps. This is the map with the most stale meta. Like if you look at
Isn't that weird? Because it's the
Yeah.
map with the most number of compositions. But I agree, it's
Yeah.
so boring almost. Like, and I
Excited to
hate
see
that
the new
because I
map
love
though.
Icebox.
Yeah, excited to see how the third map, the Foxtrot or whatever it's been leaked to be called patterns are to be. It's interesting to
I,
see how that works out to
I
be.
will tell you guys and the chat. I'm not allowed to talk anything about that. I might have news coming about that soon. So
What?
subscribe.
I've only seen the Valorant Leaks Twitter account. That's my source of information. There's no other source of information on me.
Is there a map
Le-
coming up?
Maybe.
So a lot of people are saying, like the leaks say that there is a new map coming out
Okay,
after this episode or
I
whatever.
am allowed to say that before a new agent, according to Riot devs, that they've publicly said a map is supposed to come before a
Yeah,
new agent.
So
And
you know much more than that then.
yes, I
yeah.
know more than
CA obviously
that.
does, but
I know very little more than that. I'm mostly just being mysterious, so
from
people hit the subscribe button. But to be serious, yeah, like
I think
it's
I'll
like
have to
the
join
early
my
access.
Yeah, I think
Get
it's time to retire being a pro. I think it's just time to become a content creator now. To be
yeah,
honest.
no, I mean, like if there's a slot maybe, or even
Wait,
as
wait,
in like I need
but
some insider information on the new
no,
map.
but Mr. Rushi and Mohit will also know exactly what I know about. They were in the event just like I
I
was.
mean, they never tell me though. They're like you'll get to know along with all the players. I'm like, okay.
Lol. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Like they want you guys to be
So from
tested by
yeah.
fire.
So
Yeah.
from what I've read online, it has like it's going to be like, or the code name is Foxtrot, from what I know,
It's
and
because of that
it's
ship, right?
yeah, it's either like a forest terrain thing or it's like a ship or something. Like there's a lot of things being thrown around. So yeah, potential new map coming up.
A lot of
That
people
map
are
is
saying
so
like,
weirdly designed. I don't know from the images I yeah, Shivi, even Icebox when I first saw it I wanted to puke. But
I mean,
But
you
it's also
still
like
do,
niche
right?
player.
You still do, right?
I mean now
Yeah,
it's still okay. I still
Right.
find that map good, but like previously I used to
Yeah.
hate it.
yeah. Like I've kind of started liking Split over Icebox these days, and that's kind of
Yeah.
weird because I hate Split as well.
Yeah. I remember when Ascent came out, everyone was like, wow, this is the first map we don't hate. Because
Yeah,
people did not like Split and they did not like
people have
Icebox.
grown to hate Bind a lot in recent times. I don't know.
I
We have
hate
tried
Bind.
only the kitchen sink has been left to throw. We have tried everything, guys.
I still remember casting that. I'm like, I remember because this was before you guys showed the Jet Phoenix Brimstone composition that you're running right now. That tournament only, you'd run double Sentinel, you'd run the Breach.
Yeah, you guys
So I
tried
was like,
Cypher Killjoy, I tried
yeah.
Sage,
I'll tell you, we
Rossi tried
tried
Raze, I think.
before we were about to face Mahi in that tournament on Bind. We had tried every composition possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a day before the event, I'm like, guys, nahi hoga.
Let's just come back to the original thing.
No, we cannot play with these combos. I'm like, okay, fuck everything. Let's just get a flasher. We'll put Phoenix in. I'll play Phoenix. Let's put let's keep Rossi on Jet, and let's put a Brim so that we can buy enough time on the post plant. Let's just get the spike planted, and anything else we'll deal with it later. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then we just discussed on how we are gonna take different parts of the map with the comp we had, and we never played a
Single
match.
game.
We
Uh,
just played directly. We played Mahi on it, and we played against them, and we
Yeah.
had just theory crafted. Okay, if this happens, we'll do this. But in
uh,
the map, he won 13-11.
yeah.
But this is happening, then that is also happening, and we're like, oh, we don't have a race to take hookah. Okay, it's very hard, guys. We need to do
Yeah.
something. We won 13-11, but we were never expecting to win Bind at that point. We were much more
Yeah.
confident on the other maps than we were on Bind. But we're like, okay, jeet gaye, jai Mata Di. Thank you. Now we can win. Maybe we can win the series after that.
Yeah, that map was clutch. Like I was talking about it. Like when I cast it, I remember. Like I was like, guys, you're gonna see a lot of diversity here, a lot of non-meta picks and stuff like that. Not because we've seen G just pull off insane compositions. It's because we've seen so many different ones. But I will say, like the adaptation was insane. So like, hey, the
Mhm.
evolution we're talking about already there in our top teams. It's just a matter of the 8 year teams to catch up on, and we'll see if that happens. But it's almost 12:30. I'll give you guys 5 minutes. Chat, ask whatever you want to these people and me, of course, and we'll answer in 5 minutes. And then we will go take our leave because I don't know. I don't think. Have you guys ever had dinner?
No, I had dinner before I got on.
I also had dinner.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured HellrangeR had dinner because he probably had special dinner, but I did not. And moreover,
Oh
my
well.
internet is having maintenance at exactly 12:45.
Oh,
I managed
right.
to convince them to put it off from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. and then I just got my mom to argue for one. So they said 12:45. So I have 20 minutes to get this done. But Crazy Raccoon and Absolute Jupiter, which team is better? I'm just gonna say Absolute Jupiter because I'm a fanboy, but I'll let you guys
I think
like
Jupiter
decide.
were the most dominant team.
Yeah, but right recently, Crazy Raccoons defeated them
Yeah,
3-0, which I was
yeah.
surprised to see. And I haven't seen the match, so I don't want to comment on which team is better, but
Mhm.
I don't know how they won 3-0. and that too dominantly.
Yes.
But they have a player of C9 Korea, I think.
Yes.
Crazy Raccoons, Munchkin.
Munchkin. He used to
Yeah.
play Viper, I think, right? Wasn't he the Viper guy?
Mm, Uh,
Or
I'm,
Smokes, if he's
He
not.
was
I think
smokes. He was smokes. I remember
So,
him playing
yeah.
Omen a lot.
Okay.
it's
So
been a while
yeah. I
since
need to
I've
check.
seen C9 Korea. I'm
Yeah.
honestly confused.
I think like 6-7 months since Sinan Korea. Yeah.
Sri Lanka
Yeah.
is disbanded, so
Munchkin did play
Yeah.
Viper. Okay. Shivi confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
yeah,
playing.
Munchkin.
Yeah. Yeah. He's playing right now. He's playing the Smoke Agents and the
Yeah.
He's playing the Sentinel role basically.
Mhm.
Yeah. Alright. So fair enough. Roster stuff while I stream in a couple of weeks, guys. We'll give it a little
Okay,
bit of time.
but they lost 2-0 again after they defeated them 3-0.
Yeah. I think that's why inconsistency. That's why I think Absolute Jupiter is such a big force. They've been consistently the best. Maybe team. I mean, okay, that's not a maybe. Teams will eventually like displace them. It's just how fast can you do it,
Yeah.
rather than like it's a clock, like time bomb. But I like this. What do you? Oh, okay. What do you think about Godlike lineup in a sense, since they hadn't lost a single match since ESPL? I think me and Malav, we've discussed this a
That's the
lot.
Vision Strikers comp, right? The Vision Strikers comp.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. This is the phase bind comp, which is breach, Sova, double duelist, no sentinel. So breach, Sova, double duelist, and Omen. Where the double duelist is Jet and Raze. So on
Yeah.
Ascent,
I think honestly, like the one reason they're finding so much success is people don't know how to counter that. Like people
yes,
don't know how to counter the breach will flash mid link and DM will dash, and because
it's the
it's not
same
something you see
play.
too often. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not saying it's a bad play; it's a good play, but a lot of teams in it don't catch up to it really fast. Like that's the huge problem with it, and like I mean, I don't know. Like, let's see how it works out with them in the near future. Like, I want to see how they repeat that with SMX now on the server. Like how that role swap changes things. I'm not sure if it'll have the biggest impact there, but I want to see how the playstyle changes with SMX, and I also want to see people doing more word review and understanding what's happening and how to counter that. Basically,
I sense some
it's
masala from
it's not masala,
HellrangeR
right?
here. No, 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 from HellrangeR here. I
I just
sense
think
some
it was.
masala.
No, it's no masala, but teams just don't know how to like.
Yeah, it's
See,
pretty
I'll
Yeah,
be
good.
very honest. With the comp they have, it's designed to make aggressive plays.
Yeah.
yeah,
An
and they
opposing
have players
team,
who
you
relish
need to
in
understand
environments
they
like that.
are going to make aggressive plays. Just hold for them or hold angles where you cannot get flashed by the breach.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, everyone just plays like, makes a blind eye towards the agents they have, and they just, well, let's take a stroll at Tile, let's take a stroll at A
Oh.
main. You need to fucking know they are going to flash and dash and kill you and just stay in the fucking base, or put a jet smoke on top of the wall where the breach flash is about to come, or put a
Yeah.
fucking cyber trip and wait for the jet to dash and punish him. But
Yeah. That's what I meant. Like, it's the same, like, topic that in, like, a lot of teams, I wouldn't just say in India, because I've noticed this issue in all minor regions, like, even Brazil, which I think is the biggest minor region, where I've noticed that, like, some teams they just still don't know how to play Valorant. Like straight up, they still just like trying to crosshair aim kill. Like it's not as simple as that. So like yeah, it's fine. It's as you said. I think Rex at the end of the day, like you just need to read into it. And as
Yeah.
Hellranger just said, you need these. You need to know how to do these small things like use jet smoke properly to try and counter it. So here, let's see. Chivi says all teams must follow it, but I'm pretty sure he's just trying to be like a double agent here and mess up every other team so his team can get back on top. But okay, one more question will go. Can you ask HellrangeR why teams like wait, okay, we're not having lost changes. I'll tell you the Shashwat because Hell has actually answered this before, but
Yeah, we spoke about this a lot earlier. Like
yeah,
they were fine with losing for the first 2 to 3 months because they knew that Mahi had been playing for a while, and they knew
trust the
that.
process.
Yeah, they were just ready to grind it out. Honestly, for whatever it took them uh to get there, and once they got there, they knew they could match Mahi's success.
Exactly. So, which is why I think this is perfect. Like, HellrangeR, Kush wants to know, like you were saying, you theory craft, right? For example, sometimes, and you like to look into new things. Uh, I'm gonna change your question, Kush, a little bit, but I want to ask you, like, how do you draw the line between this is what Indian teams can play and the theory crafting? Like, where does the theory start coming into practice? What's the small things you look for, to make something viable? Because even Astra, I think, is a great example. I was telling on my stream, like, yeah, she's overpowered and all, but the fake smokes part, you have to be good at it, but you have to expect the other team to also be good at it, right? So that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like, how do you sort of, like, where do you experiment, where do you not experiment? How does that come through?
Well, you can theory craft with a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it depends on what your team is capable of, right? You need to have the player agent pool. You need to know how to play. Like when I'm theory crafting or when I'm thinking of a lineup, right? I'm thinking about how I'm going to be able to take control of the map first. Second, how am I going to be able to, play against all the different type of comps? So
Yeah.
obviously, I cannot prepare for each and every comp,
Yeah.
but I can prepare for, most of the basic agents that are there or that are currently in meta on that comp. Then thirdly, how am I going to defend on the map with that comp? What are the different
Yeah.
ways? What are the compositions we can use? And what are the plays we can have, right? So those are the things I see. And at the end of the day, regardless of how much you theory craft, unless you put it into practice, and let's say in your head, right? Even if you build up a scenario perfectly, okay, if I do this, the opponent will do this, that does not always happen, right?
Yeah.
So then you fine tune your theory craft according to the region you're playing. So if you know people are going to rush in like retards, right, you put in like, so let's say I was theory crafting for Astra on Ascent. I'll tell you, I literally did this. And we're like, I was thinking like, okay, if I put a smoke on Heaven on the left and I put a smoke on A shot, I still have two more. Like I have a concuss and
Yeah.
I have a, if we are trying to do an A rush. So I like, there's no point putting a concuss on behind green box or anything. I'll just put it on Heaven
Hmm.
because I know people are
They
going to
like to
rush through
swing
the
the smoke.
smoke. Yeah,
Yeah,
they'll
people
always
love
think, I
swinging the
know. Yeah, so
true.
I'll just put a black hole there and pull them as it is and at least get double damage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I might or might not do that, but my thought process has become so corrupt that I'm thinking of retards who are going to rush through the smokes,
Yeah.
which is what I don't
Respecting
like about.
utility is, yeah,
Yeah, see,
respecting
which is
utility
on.
is kind of
Yeah,
weird.
which is
Mm.
what I don't like honestly about playing in this scene, because people don't give a shit for most of the part, right?
Yeah. Chibi
So
says Omen and Astro smokes are made to swing through. I'm just gonna, like, let's just let's keep it
That's true.
civil, I will say, because I 100% disagree, and I feel like HellrangeR has plenty of memories which are going to make him disagree. But yeah, man, like, the respect, I hope teams will pick it up. I will say, like, compared to 1 year back, oh okay, it's not been a year, but it's been like almost 8 months. 8 months back, what, like, the rank 5 to 10 teams were as compared to what the rank 5 to 10 teams are now, there's a
Yeah,
huge gap. Like, they made
yeah,
huge strides. So as long as they keep doing that, and like, I
yeah.
think Rex, you particularly can talk perfectly about
True.
that,
Yeah.
like the
So when
5
we
to
did the
10.
power rankings, yeah, when we did the power rankings with Mamba, Hellranger, CA, and I, like my prediction wasn't Mahi being number one, G being number two, anything like that. I just said that the gap between number one and number 10 would decrease, and that's honestly what's happened if you look at it. Because like a lot of teams in India are now in a better position to be able to challenge Mahi, challenge
Yep.
Global, challenge Gordel, challenge anyone who they're being put against. So it's really interesting to see how the scene has developed over the last year, or even like since close beta came out, or even like 3 to 4 months before when we had this discussion.
Yeah, and on that note, I actually want to ask HellrangeR final question, guys, before we wrap it up, and hit that like button, get us to 150. But HellrangeR, like, would you say that, like, for example, teams like Enigma, okay, recently, I think you guys didn't have like the ideal day in your series against them. Like, I obviously from a third person perspective, something was off, but that's exactly what I want to ask. Like, back, like, say a few months back, like, say September, November, do you think even on an off day they could have beaten you? Like, do you think that in that aspect they've gotten better? Because I feel like back in the day, GE, TM, or Velocity, even on off days, were unbeatable.
see, no disrespect to them, but uh, I don't think we should be losing. You know, I already said it to my team. Uh, the way we played was, so, like we cannot be playing that way. It's they okay, and obviously Enigma has improved, and I agree. Even on an off day earlier in the day, we would not have maybe lost to them, or even
Yeah.
think of losing to them. Like in our head, it should be okay if we lose to Mahi by doing certain things. XYZ, us or Mahi or
Yeah.
even right now Godlike, and even Enigma is coming up. I'm not saying teams
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
not coming up. Samurai is there, but to me, I don't think we should be losing that Enigma game.
Yeah.
And the way we played, the amount of mistakes we made, I just told them we cannot be playing this way, or I don't feel like we have any excuses for that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you guys agree with my opinion about this is, but like Shazam, he gave this opinion about Sentinels losing in the open qualifier and not picking another. He said that like they had played so many tournaments and so many events that everything that they'd been playing was streamed, and other teams just have access to so many resources to see exactly what they're doing. And
Yeah.
since the other teams obviously haven't played as much, you have that much time to like anti-strat everything that they're doing.
No, see, that is right. That is true. And I think I even heard Batman said that he had watched a few stream, and we already knew they had
Yeah, obviously.
anti-chatted us or they knew what we were doing. Obviously, we were aware of that. The problem being, I was aware of that before the match started. I already told my teammates they are going to do that, or we are going to be facing that. And we as a team collectively, we knew that is going to be the case. They are going to anti-chat us for sure. We knew that.
Yeah.
So we knew how to play against the team who has anti-started us, because we are the ones who are making the calls or doing the
Yeah.
strat. But the point is we fucked up really badly there and we made a
Fair.
lot of mistakes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that is something which is not acceptable. If you make a mistake, a good team like Enigma is going to punish you. Right? They
Mhm.
are
Mm-hmm.
on the rise. They have done their homework, so
Yeah.
they deserve the respect that comes with it. If they, I respect any team which does their homework. There's no shame in doing an homework or an opponent. But if we are, let's say, if we are the one to beat in that matchup, in ours and Enigma's matchup, we should be the one who should be a step ahead and prepared of what they are going to prepare for. If you know what in a sense, because
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we don't, then we are the ones who are slacking and not them.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even when we did the power rankings thing, the 3 to 5 discussion was very close and it was very heated. But now I don't even think there is like a possibility of establishing a 3 to 5. Godlike Samurai Enigma, even like I would say maybe Force One, and then the other teams like 6 and 7 also have a contention, but 3 to 5 itself are so close that it's honestly way like way little difference as compared to before. So I like that. But at the same time, as HellrangeR said, I didn't think of that. I like that point, like the onus is on the S tier teams to continuously just keep striving to
Yeah.
stay one step ahead, and that's a really important point too. So we'll see how that factors out. I'm not gonna give you guys any leaks, guys. Maybe HellrangeR will. I'll give the mic to HellrangeR. But in terms of this particular discussion, like I think we'll edit here. Hey, any masala for chat, HellrangeR?
SK Rossi is not 4 second, guys.
Oh my god. For anybody, for whatever godforsaken reason, if you haven't seen the video, go to G's channel and see the video now.
Even on Rossi's
Uh,
channel, it's there.
Yeah,
So
it's on
yeah.
both the
yeah,
channels.
on Rossi's channel. It was funny as fuck. I really liked the fact that it's these small things. I'll say this to end off the stream. That I think makes an esports scene like how do I say this whole, like the organizations interacting with the audience in different unique ways. It just makes it much more of a community rather than just like video game and competitive. This is more like a sports and entertainment scene, and I really like it. It for me also as like a caster and analyst, it gives me stuff to use when I'm casting. Be like, wait a minute, there is like SK Rossi actually for a second or anything like that. So appreciate it. I will say thank you to all of you, and Sami, he's not here, but thank you to
Thanks.
him as
Yeah.
Thank you,
well.
Sami.
Thank you, HellrangeR and Rexdreams. We've done this before, so we'll do it again. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you, chat, for tuning in as well. We got a bit delayed, but you stuck with us, and then we got delayed again, and you stuck with us. So big hearts to you, and yeah, just the best of the world. All of our links are in the description. Go check it out. But for now, before my internet pieces out on my stream, I will peace out and say bye bye to you guys. Take care. Good night. Bye
Thanks
bye.
for tuning in, everyone.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Bye.